Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see in the picture today, let's start the story of where Issei was trained by the dragon gods and became the true dragon god of chaos. In the battle against the Trihexa, where the leaders of all the factions were sealed with a beast in an alternate dimension, the leaders about to die, but Issei arrives and saves them. Then as an act of kindness, he exchanges places with them, sending all the leaders outside the dimension and leaving only him and the Trihexa in mind. After 10 years, Issei manages to leave that dimension and return to his home, but he realizes that 10 years have passed and things are no longer the same as before. Now he will have to face new, more powerful enemies and demonstrate his true power, which is greater than that of the gods themselves. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Also, this is a translate version. You may find some mistakes, specifically in the character's gender. Issei of course is a male, Valley also is a male. Well, with that out, let's get into part 1. In the great battle that occurred with the great beast of the apocalypse, the leaders of all the factions came together to be able to seal the Trihexa in the dimension where it was previously sealed. But there was a problem. They had to be sealed with the beast in order to keep the seal active. A few months have passed since the leaders left. The supernatural world is barely standing firm since without them the factions are unstable. After all, peace had been achieved at least almost for everyone since Haida Issei along with Ajuka Beelzebub were in communication with the leaders who were sealed. Thanks to an invention by Azazel that allows them to communicate between dimensions, the leaders informed them that the battle was not going very well since the beast was too powerful and they could barely survive. Issei was desperate, and he couldn't do anything, so he asked Ajuka if there was a way he could help them, to which Ajuka told him yes, but the price is too high. Issei didn't care about that since he wanted to help them, he couldn't let them die. Ajuka told him that he can send someone to where they were, but he has to stay in his places and that he has to be someone extremely strong since he had to fight the beast and give power to the seals so that it remains activated. Also, that I had to leave something in this dimension. Issei without hesitation offered since with the boosted gear, he could keep the seal active and with his balance breaker, he could confront the beast. Ajuka thought about it for a moment, and accepted since he did not have much time, and the circumstances suggested that he was the best optional. With the decision made, Ajuka Beelzebub called all the leaders of the factions to a meeting. He also added all the people close to his Sei since they had the right to know what was happening, and what would happen to his Sei. Ajuka, once everyone was gathered, explained the situation of the leaders, and it is worth saying that many were worried about them since there were their brothers, sisters and even their parents fighting. Ajuka told them that he had a way to save them. Everyone was happy, but when they heard the way many were scared, since one had to be alone with that beast and fight with it, none of them wanted to offer themselves. But he already knew that. Then Issei stepped forward and told them that he would do it since with his boosted gear, he can make the seal this active, and also that with his current strength, he can at least fight the beast even if he doesn't can win. Upon hearing this, many were surprised, others could not even speak in the face of such surprise. The Gremry group and other girls present, when he came out of the shock they immediately refused. But Issei always told them that he cannot sit idly by when there are people who are dying to preserve the peace. Also without the leaders of the world, it would be supernatural. A big blow if they die. Even with those words they did not accept, so approached them and told them that he was sorry, but it is something that he has to do. He also told Riaz and Sona who flatly refused that he cannot see Sergic as Lucifer and Seraph or Leviathan die without being able to do anything. In response to this statement, they said nothing. After the meeting, Ajuka prepared to send Issei to the Trihexa dimension. Once he was ready, Issei prepared to leave to help him. But before that, Ajuka gave him some magic spells and told him that he had to use it on a person right after. That person would teleport here with alongside everyone. Issei, upon hearing this, nodded and turned to where certain women were who were crying. Issei sees them and tells them not to worry. He will be fine and to wait for him since he will return. He said before disappearing. The girls upon hearing this cry even more for the loss of their loved one. But he leaves behind something that makes them remember him. He leaves 8 pawn pieces. Once is in the dimension, he becomes serious and takes action since he still remembers the last time Azazel contacted them. What he saw was Serafall the male, Gabriel the seraph, and Penemo the cadre crying, knowing that they will die at any moment. Seeing this, Is felt a strong pain in his heart, and he didn't want to see them that way, he just wanted to see them smile like they always did. Once he located the battle, he set out to save them by sending everyone back to Issei's dimension, leaving him alone with the great beast of Apocalypse, ready to fight and train with the Trihexa. Meanwhile, in Issei's dimension, you could see the leaders gathered and recovered, but none of them said anything, and some were crying for the loss of someone very valuable, and Tladin stands up and breaks the silence and says from now on the Securiute, Hyde to Issei is named Hero of Asgard, surprising everyone present. After a few seconds, everyone understands that he does it to honor the boy who sacrificed himself for them. Then everyone begins to say the same thing. From now on the Sekirei, Hidusa, he is named as the Hero of Olympus. From now on the Sekirei, Hiju Issei is named as the Hero of Heaven. From now on the Sekirei, Hiju Issei is named as the Hero of the Underworld. This is what all the factions present said. Now in the supernatural world everyone knew Hiju Issei's name as well as his achievements. After 10 years, Haidu Issei manages to leave that dimension, but he realizes that many things have already changed in this time that he was gone. Now Issei is going to face truly powerful beings that threaten peace and his loved ones. He will demonstrate the power and experience that he has obtained in these 10 years fighting and training with the great dragon of the apocalypse, a power that will temper the world. Alternate dimension. Partner, why did you sacrifice yourself for all of them? The dragon asks, although he already has an idea of why. You already know me, Drag, I can't sit and watch how they cried, answered the brunette. Well, although that is something that has always defined you as giving everything for your loved ones, even if it is your life. The dragon said calmly since he knew what his companion was like. What can I say? You already know me, partner. Issei commented with sadness in his words. I just hope that all of them can be happy. I hope so because, to be honest, I don't have the slightest idea how long we can be here, commented the dragon, somewhat worried. You know something, Drag, I don't feel sorry for what I did, rather I feel happy that I was able to help in this war. The brunette said in a happy and calm tone. You better than anyone know that you helped not only them but also many more, and that you have done more in almost 2 years that I have been with you than a lifetime with the other carriers, said the dragon, making Issei smile. Great, partner. Sorry for everything I've put you through, says the brunette. What's that apology for? The dragon asks, confused. Well, I just wanted you to know that if at some point I can't leave this place and I die here, at least I would like to tell you that you are my best friend and a brother. The brunette answered in a calm tone. I really can't win with you, partner. Despite everything, I'm glad you were my carrier, although the up-eyed dragon thing left me a scar, said the dragon happily but also depressed. Well, a good memory so that when I'm gone, you can remember me, the brunette said happily and amused. Despite everything he has experienced since he became a devil, Drag was always there with him to support him and help him. He is really happy to see him known. Please stop if you continue like this, I'm going to die from depression, commented by the already depressed dragon. Hey Drag, if we can get out of here, I will do everything possible to help you recover your former glory, the brown hair man said, encouraging his friend. I'll settle for you leaving that unhealthy obsession with the breasts, said the dragon, now calmer. What do you think? The Red God Emperor for the new nickname. It could also be the Dragon God of Domination, something like that, the brunette said very excitedly. That sounds amazing, the dragon said with tears in his eyes, while the sage just smiles. Well then, since it's decided, how about we start with the training? I have a lot to learn and I need to control the power that Office uses as well as the dragon infinite drive and get properly accustomed to the body that Great Red made me. I feel like I still haven't seen even the slightest bit of his potential, commented Issei, excited at the idea of becoming stronger. To be honest, I don't know if you can control Aphos's power 100%, not the body of Great Red, but at least you can reach a really acceptable level since you need a master to be able to control it properly, said the dragon seriously. But not to discourage Ace. Well, at least I won't be useless in the field. the brunette said without losing his enthusiasm. Then I recommend that you start at once. Although we are not in a hurry, it is better to do something in this place so as not to die of boredom. The dragon commented. Okay, let's do this, the brunette said with a big smile. You are going to train for the first time seriously and with enthusiasm. I want to see how this ends, said the dragon, very excited. The good thing is that in this place you will not feel hungry or sleepy, so come on, partner, let's show the world the true power of the strongest Sekiroite in history. The dragon shouted excitedly. Of course, the brunette shouted excitedly. I promise you that I will return. The brunette thought. Human world. Hide your residence. You can see all the leaders and their teams that were in the alternate dimension. They were all lying on the ground being treated by the DXD team and some other people of different myths after they left. Some with scratches, others with normal wounds, and most with serious wounds, either broken bones or damaged organs, and almost all of them were bathed in their own blood, although some were also crying because the price of seeing their loved ones was very high, since the price was the hero for some, friend for others, and the person they loved most for others. Among them, you could see the Gremory group crying while treating the wounds of the Mass and other members, the Vali group treating Azazel and Penemu as well as other members. Although Lefay and Kuroka were with tears in their eyes, also Irina and Uriel with other angels treating Michael, Raphael and Gabriel, as well as other members. There were also members of other factions treating their leaders like Olympus was treating Zeus. But among all of them, there were some conscious and others unconscious. But there were 3 women who seemed very affected. Among them was Gabriel, who was leaning against the wall, but she had her hands gripping her chest tightly because she felt that she had lost something too valuable to her, while slight tears came out of her beautiful eyes. Another person was the Serafall Leviathan, who was unconscious. But before she fell unconscious, tears ran down her cheeks, saying in a whisper, "Why you? Why?" And so she fell unconscious before the arrival of Sona Citri, who immediately saw her. He throws himself into hugging her and crying with her in his arms. She couldn't explain how happy he felt to see her alive again. Enema was another one who, although she was not better than the others, at least she remained standing with certain tears wanting to come out. They stayed resting and recovering, at least until they can go to their respective factions and recover fully, since they also had to think about something, and that something was nothing more than the person who sacrificed for them and prepared to give the news to the supernatural world. So after a few days that passed, the girls from the Gremory group were very depressed, especially Rias, since the love of her life who gave so much for her was no longer by her side. The days continued to pass, those days into weeks, the weeks into months, the months into years. Some people still had hope of seeing Issei again, while others continued their lives normally and forgetting about him. Sometimes they felt like they were missing them. Something was needed. In this way the years went by, and out of nowhere 10 years had passed. Underworld. Citri Castles. It's been 10 years since the Trihexa incident. You could see a certain girl in bed who seemed to be having a nightmare, as her expression reflected pain as tears ran down her cheeks. Dream. Oh dear sister, who is waiting for you? A man told her calmly while she wiped away her tears and caressed her cheek. What are you going to do? She asked him, worried. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'll stay to protect you so you can calm down. He told me that while a magic circle appeared below me. Wait, please. Wait. I shouted, already very scared. Please come with me, I need you. I told him while I was crying, since for the first time I felt my heart beating strongly for someone he had protected with his life, and I didn't want to let him go. He shook his head in denial. I was already about to disappear, but I could hear the last thing he was telling me. I will return. Sarah-chan. And with that last sentence he left, as well as the last memory of him. End of dream. When the beautiful woman got up from her bed and touched her cheeks, there was that tear of sadness for never seeing him again. That dream again. I really miss you, said Serafall Citri. At that moment there is a knock on the door. Wait a moment, Revel answers as he wipes away his tears and gets dressed. Once she is ready, she opens the door and is surprised because the person knocking on the door was her younger sister Sona Citri, with her typical emotionless expression. Good morning, Wani-sama. I brought you a letter from Sergic-sama, the younger Citri informed her sister. Good morning, Sotan, says the eldest Citri as she threw herself on her sister to hug her with her typical happy way of being. Wani-sama, I already told you to stop saying my name with Tan, the youngest Citri claimed with her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Why Sotan? It sounds cute. And just because you have a boyfriend before your sister doesn't mean I can't call my cute little sister. So now Citri has a boyfriend. She got together with Saji more than 2 years ago, but before they dated he had married Momo and Veruko 5 years ago. Saji now has 2 beautiful wives, but he wants Sona Citri as his next wife, who is the one who spends the most time making his 2 wives very jealous. This happened when they were at Sona's school. He saw her playing and smiling with the children, and after a few moments he approached her and told her about her. Well, the two looked at the school. Sona-sama, I really thank you for allowing me to be reincarnated as a devil. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't know where I would be. Those words surprised the black-haired woman since she never thought he would digest those words. I really thank you since I can be with a person as wonderful and beautiful as you, said the pawn Citri. Sona was going to scold him since she thought he was flirting with her, but then she saw his eyes that reflected happiness, gratitude, and sincerity. From then on they got closer and closer until Sagi proposed to be his girlfriend, and she accepted. Moo, Wani-sama, please, Sona told her, handing her the letter and running out. So, Tan, come back, the older Citri shouted at her. Serafall just smiles when she sees her sister like that. She enters the room again and closes the door. At that moment, while he sees the letter in her hands, tears fall down her cheeks, remembering that scene where she saw him. Except, flashback. I'm going to die, this will be my end. The Mauser-off old Leviathan thought while she cried while on the ground on her knees without strength. Sorry Sotan, I couldn't see your dream come true, the Mauser thought as she lowered her head waiting for her death. But in the last moment of her death she only whispered, please help, I don't want to die. She said in the hope that her hero and her prince, who she had been waiting for so much for years, would arrive for her. She was asking for help since in front of her came a gigantic fireball that Trihexa had launched to kill her. She only waited for her death by lowering her head and closing her eyes. But it never came, opening her eyes very slowly since she was afraid of finding something in front of her that could kill her. But she got a big surprise when she opened them since at the same time in front of her was the person she never expected since it was no one other than Yokai himself. Hi Issei. Serafall was surprised that she couldn't talk for a few moments because he was protecting her with his body receiving the fireball in front of her. Once he stopped the fireball, he turned around and carried Serafall like a princess to get away from the Trihexa, while he protected her with her life from the multiple attacks that the Trihexa sent her. Seeing this, Revel couldn't even say or do anything since the person carrying her in her arms is a man who is protecting her with his own life, so that nothing of hers happens to him. At that moment when he was carrying her in his arms, she felt calm. She didn't know how to express it, but for the first time in her entire life she felt protected and protected by someone. Those feelings that invaded her, she didn't know what to do as she felt happy, calm, protected and most of all warmth. For the first time in her long life she felt warm in her heart. She felt that no matter where or who she faced, she would feel protected from her as long as she was at her side. What is this that I feel, this warmth, this tranquility? The Mayo asked herself while she little by little lost consciousness of how tired her body was. When she regains consciousness after a few minutes, she is surprised because there was her still protecting her from anything happening to her. Ice-chan, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here, she said when she was able to regain some strength. Well, what can I tell you, Serafall-sama, I've come to help you, the brunette responded with a sincere smile that made the mauve blush slightly. And if you ask how Ijuka-sama got here after his departure, I investigate a way to help them by inventing a magic exchange circle, said the brunette taking out the paper with the magic circle. Wait a moment, the Mayo asked, to which the brunette only nodded his head. If that's the case, a person has to stay and if I leave that means that. With a face of surprise and amazement, she walks to his aide who is giving her a smile. That's right, Serafall-sama. I will stay so that you can return home. You have already fought a lot, and you deserve a break. There are people who need you, not to mention the supernatural world. Besides the fact that Sona misses you, it's not the same if his great and wonderful one Issei is not by his side, said the brunette slowly and calmly. At that moment tears ran down her cheeks because of those words, since it was no secret that she missed her sister very much, but she knew that she couldn't see her anymore, until now they are telling her that she can see her dear sister again, listen to her, talk to her, hug her, tell her how much she loves her and how important she is to her. But at the last moment he realized something. But you will be left alone with that beast. No, I cannot allow it as a male. It is my duty to fight until the last moment to protect everyone, the male said in a firm and authoritarian tone. Upon hearing that, the brunette is a little surprised. He already thought that she could react like that. He placed her hand on the Mayamu's head and gave her a small caress while he looked into her eyes and said, "You have already fought a lot, Serafall-sama. It is time for you to rest, and as I already told you, there are people who need you," the brunette said, trying to convince the male, but she refused. "You know something, Serafall-sama. I heard from Sona that because of your way of being she embarrasses her, although she also told me that that is a part of you I wouldn't change it for the world. Besides, Serafall-sama, I don't want to get into your private life, but I also know that you have never gotten a boyfriend because of your happy and pampered manner. And those who approach you are the men who only see you as a trophy or an achievement for having the male as your girlfriend," the brunette said calmly. Serafall is so surprised by how knowledgeable he is, but she also blushes so much knowing what she is like and what has happened to her. Issei just looks at her and smiles as she thinks about how cute she looks like that. "You know what I think? I think you are a wonderful woman with your way of being so active, happy and pampered. I think any man would love to have a woman like that, so he can pamper her as much as he wants, while he observes how beautiful you are at the same time. See those beautiful violet eyes?" The brunette ma'am told him while he caressed her cheek lovingly. Serafall didn't know why, but she had blushed at those words even though they always complimented her. They simply ignored them and she knew they came with other intentions, but she didn't know why hearing those words from him made her heart go crazy. Maybe it's because there is only sincerity in that look since she has always been seen as a trophy and not as a woman, but when she sees him, that look reflects that he really sees her as a woman. "Serafall-sama, it is time for you to return home to rest. You have deserved it, and please, even just once, allow this man to protect you since you have sacrificed so much in your life," the brunette told her while he gave her a smile that made the Mao blush. Serafall's heart was beating so fast that she wanted to jump out of her chest, and she never expected those words. "But you," the mouse said in a whisper. "Sorry, Serafall-sama," the brunette said, confused. "I don't like it when you call me that name," she said a little louder this time. Hearing her, Issei will be surprised, but after a moment she smiles at him while she caresses his cheek. "So what do you think, Sarah-chan?" the brunette said, surprising the male, but only for a moment, since later a beautiful smile forms on her face. She didn't know why, but it gave her immense happiness to hear him call her that way. Although she had already dealt with him and had heard about him from Sona, this was the first time she felt like this in front of a man. "Thank you," she said quietly with a big blush on her cheeks and tears wanting to come out of her eyes. The brunette sees her and smiles at how pretty she is, then he tells her again. "Well, it's time for you to go to your sister who is waiting for you," Issei told her calmly while he wiped her tears and caressed her cheek. "What are you going to do?" she asked him, worried. "Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'll stay here for a while," he told her that while a magic circle appeared below Serafall. "Wait. Please. Wait," she shouted, already very scared. "Please come with me, I need you," she shouted again, while she was crying since for the first time she felt her heart beating strongly for someone. He had protected her with his life, and she didn't want to let him go. He shook his head in denial. "I was already about to disappear. I could hear the last thing he told me. I will return, Sarah-chan." And with that last sentence he left, as well as the last memory of him that she see of him. Then to flashback. Serafall said in a whisper. Underworld. Lilith City. Citri Academy. "Naya, you can leave now and remember the work that left you." The sexy Nikomata Yokai of the Citri Academy spoke with her beautiful amber eyes, long hair and black as the night itself, with the statuesque body of a masterpiece that everything young man fantasizes about having. When everyone left the class, the sexy Nikomata turns to the sail and says, "Naya, what brings you here, Vali?" said the black-haired girl. "And to think that you would end up this way, Kuroka would never have imagined it," he said with a mocking smile. "Don't bother me, Vali. You've always known that even though I like to fight, I always wanted a quiet life, Naya," the black-haired woman said with slight annoyance. "Well, what are you going to do, and tell me how your work is going?" asked the white dragon. "The last time I spoke with Bika he told me that Sun Wukong has him helping the Yokai, and Arthur told me that he is doing well with Aten. Nigh, and to think that we would all end up like this, and you married to 5 women, nigh," the black-haired woman said with amusement, making Vali blush a little. "But fate told me that they want to marry her to someone, Naya. But she's sure she'll find a way to cancel it, Naya," the black-haired woman commented, remembering something so that she gets a little sad. "Tell me something, Kuroka, you don't have a man out there?" Vali asked. "No," the black-haired woman answered. "Are you still a virgin, Kuroka?" Vali asked curiously. "Of course, if you idiot," the black-haired woman said, angry but sad. "I would only give it to him," she said in a low voice, but Vali could hear her. "You're still waiting for him?" Vali asked, interested. "I will always wait for him, Naya. I only want to be with him, Naya," the black-haired woman said, depressed. "Do you think that one day we will see him again?" asked Vali. "Yes, Naya, something tells me that we will see him again, Naya, and maybe it will be very soon," answered the black-haired woman. "By the way, Abel told me that your sister wants to see you," the white dragon informed the Nikomata. "What a pity, because I don't," the black-haired woman answered angrily, remembering what her sister did. "Are you still angry at her for changing high to Issei?" asked the Volume 1. "For Nikomata, Naya, and even more so for Nekasha, once we choose a mate, we stay with him, Naya," the black-haired woman resented. Volume 1. "Kuroka is like this since her sister swore eternal love to Issei, but when Issei sacrificed himself for everyone, after 3 years she forgot about him and formed a relationship with a Yokai who already had a commitment to Kunu, Yasaka's daughter. It's natural since she wanted to continue with her life," Vali said calmly. "Then let her continue with her, Naya. For my part, I will continue waiting for him as long as necessary, Naya, since I am sure that I will see him again, Naya," the black-haired woman said in a serious tone. "Kuroka, despite her playful and mischievous personality, she also has a sentimental side to her. Once Issei sacrificed himself, she was shocked and became very depressed since she had lost the person she had fallen in love with, that person who accepted her as she was, that person who always made her smile, that person who always he worried about her, that she was always well, and that she lacked nothing, and that person who, no matter who she faced, always looked out for her and protected her. That feeling of loneliness never left. It had been there torturing her and waiting for him all this time." "Kuroka, do you really think he'll come back?" Vali asked with interest. "Yes, there is no doubt about that, Naya. He will return, and I don't know why, but something tells me that we will see him again, Naya," the Nikomata answered as she looked at the sky through the window with a deep gaze. "I hope so," said Vali, who repeated Kuroka's action. "Ice," the Nikomata said in a whisper. "Heaven. First heaven." Uriel's ace, Nero Raimondi, was walking hand in hand with Michael's ace, Irina Shidu. Since they have been a couple for some time now, they were going to a place where they were waiting for them. When they arrived, you can see a slightly wide place with wide armchairs. In them, they found Asia Argento and Zenobia Cordo, who had become reincarnated angels after asking Michael and having the permission of Riaz and Sergic. They were with their respective partners. Asia's was Raphael's ace, Deefa Walsmuller, and Zenovia's was Raziel's ace, Louis Bencon. At 3 years old, they forgot about Issei, and 2 years later they fell in love with Uriel's aces, Raphael and Raziel, an act that same year they asked to be reincarnated. Although some were disappointed in them since they swore eternal love to hide to Issei. But now that he was gone, they forgot about him and continued his life as if nothing had happened. Heaven. Sixth heaven. The seraphim were in a meeting, talking about some matters they had to attend to. In that same place was the strongest and most beautiful woman in heaven, the great seraph Gabriel, who had a somewhat serious expression, but you could see a great sadness that had invaded her for 10 years since the last time he saw her, since the last time he saw those eyes that reflected fear but also bravery and sincerity. Since the last time she lost him, he no longer felt like smiling. Once the meeting is over, Michael gazed at her and asks her, "Gabriel, you are okay?" "I have noticed that you are not the same," said the leader of heaven with great concern for his sister. "Don't worry, Michael, I'm fine, just a little tired," the seraph said with a fake smile that everyone could see. That smile that reflected pain and great sadness. Once she answered Michael, she stood up and left the room, which left the other seraphim with worried faces since they had not seen her sincerely smile for 10 years. Although everyone knows why, no one can do anything. "Michael, we have to do something. I can't continue like this," Uriel said with concern. "But what can we do?" "It's been 10 years since Gabriel has been like this," said a worried Raphael. "We can't do anything, brothers. You already knew that Gabriel, before the incident with the Trihexa, she already showed feelings for him. For a long time she showed that he had the noblest heart ever seen because he always gave everything for the general good, without asking for anything in return," Michael said with concern and sadness in his words. "And to know that, from that moment in which he saved her, those feelings that it or dismayed awakened," Michael said, informing everyone while he watched as Gabriel left the 6th floor. Once Gabriel left the room, she went to her room and sat on her bed, thinking about what had happened 10 years ago since Issei saved her, the one who had caught her attention because of how he was and who he was, that kind and loving person, that person who strives for his loved ones and most of all, that person who gave his life for them, and to think that at first it was just curiosity about what his personality was like and nothing more, but knowing that over time, as I was with him, I became more and more curious to see how he gave everything and fought with beings much stronger than him to protect to his loved ones. At that moment I had realized that the more I saw him, the more I wanted to be with him," Issei said in a low voice with a pain in her chest that she did not know the reason for. Gabriel had a lost look as tears came out of his eyes, running down his cheeks as he remembered that event. Flashback. She didn't know how much time had passed since she was in this dimension, since she was only fighting with all her strength with the great beast of the apocalypse, along with her brothers. Next to her, a few meters away, Michael was breathing very heavily since he has been fighting for a long time. "Brother, are you okay?" asked the great seraph. "Yes. I'm just a little tired," Michael answered with difficulty. After confirming, Gabriel and Michael are sent into battle again, but what they did not expect was that a gust of air separated them, causing Michael to be thrown and crash into the ground. The Trihexa, seeing this, begins to attack Gabriel, who at the same time is distracted and hits her with a blow that leaves her on the ground almost unconscious from the strong blow. Gabriel tries to stand up but can't. The Trihexa sends him a flare when he sees her like that. Seeing the flare heading towards her, a thought crossed her head. "I'm going to die," the seraph thought. "No, Gabriel," Michael shouted when he saw that his sister was going to die, an act that Gabriel only closed her eyes and whispered. "Father," the seraph said, remembering her father, Elohim, while tears ran down her cheeks. The flare hits Gabriel, causing Michael to be horrified. "Gabriel!" the leader of heaven shouted, crying when he saw the death of his sister. Inside the flare you could see an intact Gabriel without any scratches. "Why are you crying?" someone said to Gabriel. "You don't know that you look prettier with a smile on your face than tears on it," he said, while she felt how she wiped away the tears that were running down her face. "At hand, because I feel so calm when she touches me." "What is it? Who is that person who makes me calm down?" Gabriel little by little opens her eyes to see that person who protected her from the flare by covering her with her wings. "Sacrowhite," she said with a surprised look. "Tell me, why are you crying?" the brunette asked while he continued caressing her cheek with a smile. Gabriel didn't know what to say. She was left speechless since that feeling she felt when he caressed her so delicately made her feel happy. "You don't know that you look prettier with a smile on your face than tears on your face?" The brunette repeated the question again with a smile. Gabriel didn't know why, but those words made her cheeks blush. When the flames died down, Michael can't see that Gabriel was alive. instantly filled with immense happiness. Trihexa launches a flare again. Issei seeing this carries Gabriel in her arms and dodges it. Gabriel didn't know what to do, and now that he was carrying her in his arms he turns redder. But she doesn't know why, since she knew him and had talked to him before. But this was the first time she felt that feeling that he would give his life for, protect her. While Gabriel was still thinking about him, why Issei had dedicated himself to dodging the Trihexa's attacks. Gabriel didn't realize anything until a fireball hit Issei from behind, causing her to start bleeding from the impact, and from her head, she returned to reality. "Let go of me. If you continue like this, you're going to die," the Seraph said worriedly. "No," was the only thing the brunette answered. "Let go of me. You don't understand that you are going to die if you continue like this," the Seraph said with tears, since she thought he was going to die. "No." But the brunette kept saying the same answer. "Why? If you continue, you are going to die," said the Seraph in desperation, looking for an answer. "I won't, I'm not going to die. What would be heaven without the most beautiful and strongest woman of all?" The brunette answered with a smile as he looked into her eyes, because even though he was wearing the armor, he wasn't. "I had my helmet on." Gabriel was in shock because she didn't know why those words affected her so much, even though she has been called that countless times. For her it was nothing, but then she thought, why when he says it do I want to keep listening to it? Why do I want to look good for him? Michael, who was watching from afar, saw how Issei sacrificed himself to save her sister and take her to where hers was. Once he arrived at Michael's side, Issei slowly lowered Gabriel off of her, placing her next to his brother. "Michael-sama, I'm going to send you back to our dimension," said the brunette, surprising the two seraphs. "There is no way to do it. Besides, we can't leave. If we leave here, the Trihexa will be free again," said the leader of the heavens, worried and confused. "No worries, I will stay so that the seal is maintained thanks to my boost gear, and thanks to Akuja-sama. I managed to find a way to exchange. In exchange for staying and maintaining the seal, you can leave," the brunette said in a way calm but at the same time serious. Gabriel, upon hearing this, is horrified by such words said by Issei, since he will be left alone with that fearsome beast. "Boo! Boo! But you will be alone with that beast. I can't let that happen," said the frightened and upset seraph while she clung tightly to the brunette's arm. Michael and Issei were surprised by what the seraph said, but Michael even more so since he had never seen her act that way. Issei, on the other hand, seeing that, only smiles at her while she caresses him on the cheek, an act that causes Gabriel to gaze at him at his eyes again. "Don't worry, I'll be fine. One day I'll come back," the brunette told him while he activated the magic circle that appears beneath all the angels, and they begin to disappear one by one. Seeing that, Gabriel clings closer to Issei, not wanting to get away from him. Issei sees Gabriel and hugs her while she puts him close to her ear and says, "Don't worry, I'm not going to die yet, since there is something I want to do, and one of those is to see you smile," the brunette said to the seraph, who continued to cling to him tighter while tears ran down her cheeks. "You have already fought a lot for us, now it is my turn to fight for you," the brunette said to the seraph, while she disappeared almost entirely in the magic circle. "No. Please, no. I'll stay with you too," said the seraph, scared of losing him, although she didn't know why she felt that way, but a part of her wanted to stay with him and not leave him. Seeing hers like this, Issei hugs her tightly, making the seraph surprised at her, but for some reason she didn't want to get away from him. Issei gazed at Michael and tells him, "Please take care of her." With a serious and pleading tone he said to the leader of heaven, "Leave it to me, and thank you for everything you are doing for us and for saving my sister from death," said the leader of heaven with a tone of shame but also respect and admiration. And with those last words Michael disappears from that dimension. Before Gabriel also disappeared, he gives her a kiss on her cheek, surprising her and telling her, "A memory so that you do not forget me, and so that I am well and calm, because one day I will return," said the brown man with a smile on his face. Gabriel simply touches the cheek where she was kissed as her heart races and he remembers his last words before disappearing. Then to flashback. You can see Gabriel lying on her bed almost asleep while she whispered, "I'm going to wait for you, Issei." And this way she falls asleep thinking about him. Alternate dimension. 8 years ago. "Hey brat, what are you doing?" a very somber voice asked. So you're awake, you're training a little. The brunette responded to the dragon god of the end, 666, in his human form. Why do you train if you can't get out of this place? You're trapped, said the Trihexa. Maybe it's true, but I don't plan to stay here forever. Plus, there are people who are waiting for my return, and I need to be strong to be able to protect them, the brunette said while he continued training. You are really interesting, brat. What do you think if I train you a little to kill time? Said the dragon god of the end to the brown-haired boy, very surprised by what he had just heard. What is the reason for such a tempting offer? Asked the brunette with great interest. Well, I have nothing better to do. Besides, I don't know what you did, but I can feel the presence of that faker apocalypse and office in you, answered the dragon of the end. Yes, I died a long time ago. I was saved by them. The Great Red made me a body, while office gave me the energy to live, said Issei while he gazed at the dragon who smiles. Interesting, very interesting, he said while smiling even more at that fact. And what do you think if I train you a little? It would be very fun to see how far you can go with a dragon body that has the strongest body, plus the energy of the dragon of infinity, and the training of me, the dragon god of the end, not you, but to me it doesn't sound bad at all, said the dragon of the end, tempting to say even more. Greg, what do you think? The brunette said, still with some doubt. I don't know, partner, the dragon said thoughtfully. Do you think we can trust him? Asked the brunette. I don't feel malice in his words, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't interested, said the dragon. Let's analyze it a little. What do you mean? The brunette asked with doubt. It is as he says, you have had contact with the 3 dragon gods, but not only that, your body is made of the blood and flesh of the Great Red. In other words, you have the best body that a dragon can have. If you train it well, it will not, I imagine, how far it can go, said the dragon with great interest. Might understand your point. I also have almost infinite energy from office, the dragon of infinity. If I train it properly to control it in its entirety, I will be on another level and will be able to use my magical reserves properly. They have already increased enormously by the power from office, said Issei, analyzing the situation. That's right, partner. If you train it well, you will reach a new level, but you will never be able to completely master it due to your lack of experience and information. But if someone trains you who has those 2 characteristics, you can master it completely, said the dragon, increasingly excited. And there is no person more suitable than that same dragon who is on the same level as the 2 of them, commented Issei. We don't lose anything by trying. I'm also getting excited to think how far we can go. I think this is a unique opportunity, partner, said the dragon, advising Issei. Issei turns to see the Trihexa who is standing in front of him waiting for the answer. I see that you already finished talking with Drag, so what did you decide? Asked the dragon of the end. Okay, Trihexa, I accept. So from now on I am in your care, the brunette said calmly, but also seriously. Good decision, brat. Although I don't know if you can die, although you have a high possibility since you have a fairly resistant body and almost infinite energy, this will be good. Come on, brat. Let's start to see how far you can go. In that way, Issei began the infernal training of the great beast of the apocalypse, the dragon god of the end, the Trihexa. Tokyo, capital of Kyoto. Goodness-san, Kaneko-san, they're here, a Yokai shouted. Sir, they meet Miss Sasaka in the courtyard, said a guard. Okay, could you do me a favor and let them know I'm here? The Yokai said courteously to the guard. Right away, my lord, the guard said to go look for them. In the garden of Yasaka Castle, there were Yokai talking normally. Excuse me, ladies, young Yasuko has just arrived and asks if you can help him, the winged and Yokai guard reported. Thank you, let's go right away. Answered to young woman of about 21 years old, blonde hair, fox ears and tails. She had a very attractive body, big breasts, wide hips and a thin waist, with a beautiful face for her age. She was the current leader of the Yokai, Kunu. I'm glad you came. We still have to arrange some things for the wedding. This will be a great opportunity to finish the preparations, said a white-haired woman about 25 years old with cat ears and tail, a body almost like her sister's. Nothing more or little less than this, she was the rock of Gremry Group Kaneko Tujo. Tell me something, girls, you really want to marry him? I mean, he is a good man, and I have no problem with him, but it wasn't that they had sworn eternal love to another person," said the former leader of the Yokai Yasaka, who despite the years still just as beautiful. "In fact, it seems like every year you become even more beautiful than she already were." Hearing what the older kitsune told them, causing them both to freeze and not be able to say anything, after the brunette sacrificed himself to help them leave that dimension, and she stayed inside, both Kaneko and Kuna suffered from the departure of the person they had fallen in love with. After a year at a meeting, Kaneko and Kuna became very close friends, so much so that after another year they had become like sisters, and having already passed 3 years since departure, they forgot about the person who had always loved them and protected them from all evil, in addition to seeing them saved on multiple occasions, causing to be on the verge of death to protect them. After seeing the man they swore eternal love forgotten, they fell in love with Yasuko, a young Yokai, son of an army general, getting engaged to him 3 years after meeting him and 3 years into dating. I know that this is your decision, but I would like to know if you are very sure, because if Issei returns, you will no longer be able to be by his side, the older kitsune said to the young Yaokais. That left them thinking, what if Issei came back for them and he found them married to someone else, since Issei wouldn't do anything but they would lose him, and they wouldn't be able to be by his side anymore. That idea was terrifying them. Seeing their expression, Yusaku was surprised since she thought that they had already made a decision, but from what can be seen, they are still not 100% sure that the decision they are making is the correct one. I don't think he'll come back. It's been 10 years and there's not even a chance he's alive, said the younger kitsune, surprising her mother with the harsh words she just said. Besides, we have to continue with our lives, and also, I don't want to think about this possibility, but maybe he's already dead, Kaneko said, surprising Yasaka even more because of Kaneko's cold response. They stand up and go to look for their fiancé. Well, Yasaka watches them leave and shakes her head since she knows what Issei is like. She won't die so easily, and even less so when she knows that he has women waiting for her return. I hope you don't regret the decision you girls are making later, said the older kitsune as she watched the 2 young Yaokais leave. Come back soon, Issei. I'm waiting for you to come for me, was what Yusaku said as she looked at the wide sky and tears ran down her cheeks. Underworld. Gremory Castle. 4 young girls could be seen in a beautiful garden talking calmly without any problem or worry. They were the heirs of the Citri and Gremory clans, with their respective queens, Rias Gremory, Himajima Akino, Sona Citri and Tsubaki Shinra. Tell me, Sona, how are you doing with Saji-kun? The redhead asked. You can say more or less since there are some problems, and adding that lately, he only spends time with Momo and Veruko. The Citri heiress responded, surprising the Rias and her queen. I'm surprised to hear that, since I thought you had everything under control, Queen of the Gremory said. They are not easy, besides, Sagi has been foolish for me to sleep with him, said the Citri heiress with tiredness and little patience in her words. And why don't you do it and that's it? He's supposed to be your boyfriend. I don't see what's wrong with that, since you know he really loves you, said the redhead to the Citri heiress. I know the feelings that Sagi has for me. On most occasions I don't feel like being with him. Furthermore, the other topic is really very bad, since Saji is part dragon, and the only thing he really wants is to mark me, as already he has Momo and Haruko marked. He says it is so that no one gets close to me. In other words, he wants to control me, an act that does not seem to me in the slightest. The Citri heiress responded with anger in her words. That comment left Rias and her queen in doubt, as they didn't understand what she was talking about. Tsubaki made a comment to clarify. Remember that a male dragon marks as females when they have sex. This mark allows no other male to approach it because it is already marked as the property of the dragon that owns the mark, and if the female is unfaithful to him, this mark will take care of it, to kill it since it contains a large amount of dragon power, said Queen Citri, finishing the explanation. This surprised Rias and Akino since they were unaware of this detail. Sona, upon seeing this, raises an eyebrows. Does Tsubaki in doubt? From what it seems, you were unaware of that information. I am surprised that you, who lived for so long with a dragon like Ice-kun, did not know that, said the Citri heiress with quite a bit of intrigue. The silence lasted as his name brought back memories of everything they had experienced at their sides. Sona, seeing this, Wonders if Rias and her entourage have already forgotten Issei. Let's see if you really have already forgotten Ice-kun. Sona Citri thought. Now touching on that topic, Rias, are you sure you want to marry Razor? Tsubaki asked this time. That question surprised the Gremarys a little since they were not expecting it, but after a few seconds of getting out of her surprise, she answered, yes, I have already made my decision. Razor has changed a lot. He is not the same as before, thanks to everything we have been through, and he has really supported me a lot after Ice left. And not to lie to you, I really like that part of him so much that I fell in love with him, the redhead answered to Citrus. And? What happens if Ice-kun comes back and when he looks for you he finds her married to the person who once sacrificed himself to save you? Asked the Citri heiress. Ria's hearing that, she is shocked since she had not really thought about that. She already had the idea that the brunette was dead and she would never return. Not only her but also you, Akina, let her come looking for you and realize that you are already married. Queen Citri continued. Akana, upon hearing that, I know she was also shocked since she did not expect to be asked that. She always thought the brunette was dead after a few years and began to rebuild her life. She met someone and after getting to know him more, she married him. The silence lasted for a few minutes. Seeing that the conversation was going nowhere, the cider heiress changed the subject. Changing the subject, Tsubaki, how are you going with Kibiaudo? The Citri heiress asked her queen since she did not know what her relationship with the Gremry Knight was. But when she saw that her queen lowered her head, she realized that it was a bad idea to ask. Really bad, even though the devils have a system of polygamy. Yudo-kun, he says that he is not interested in having more than one wife. And between his childhood friend Tasuka-san and me, he chose his wife Tasuka-san. Said the Queen Citri is sad and depressed since she cannot be with the person she fell in love with. It's a shame since he was one of the 3 men with whom you have interacted and been able to talk and deal with who you really are. Said the Citri heiress sadly, since it was a somewhat delicate topic. Who were the other 2 people? Asked her Redid, having come out of the shock of the previous question that her friend asked her. One was Saji, and the other was Heidu-kun. Queen Citri answered, if you want to be with one of those 3, let's discount you to Kun based on the previous information. Saji too, since you know him very well and you already know what he is like, that's just him staying with Ice-kun. Commented the Citri heiress, surprising everyone. When her queen was going to say something, Sona continues talking. You always enjoyed your time with him despite how perverted he was. He had his good points, and one of those is that he always made you laugh, said the Citri heiress with a malicious smile, while she sees her queen turn red at the comment since it was true. She always enjoyed spending time with the brunette since with him she can be herself. The Gremarys did not know what to say and they did not know that information. Queen Citri sees her king and with the same malicious smile answers, but I wasn't the only one, if I remember correctly Sona. Whenever you spent time with Heidu-kun she was seen with a smile of being very happy to share moments with him. Said Queen Citri, making her king blush. But he couldn't control it. Tsubaki sees her with a triumphant smile. She looks back at the 2 Gremarys who were there, who did not believe anything they had just heard. Well, that can't be helped since despite being a pervert, he has good sides to him, such as being kind, attentive, protective, and always looking out for the well-being of his loved ones, commented Queen Citri. Sona gazed at her with a smile and tells her, that can be taken as a confession indirectly saying that you like Ice-kun. The Citri heir is finished saying. Tsubaki blushes so much that she says with difficulty, Well, I can't say that I didn't like. And experiencing all those feelings and feeling, I important for a man like him, said Queen Citri, blushing like hell. Hearing that, Rias and his queen, who until now were down, slammed the table in anger as she stood up. No, you can't. I won't allow it. The Gremry heiress shouted with authority. Seeing this, the Citri heiress and her queen look into each other's eyes, and then she turns to see the Gremry who are with expressions of annoyance and anger. Rias, let me remind you that you are going to get married soon, and you also have no right to say who Ice-kun may be with. And you also Akino, since you are already married, you don't have the slightest right to say anything. I answer them. The Citri heiress seriously and claimed as she stood next to her queen. It doesn't matter, the Redid shouted again. He is still my dear pawn, He can only be with me and with no one else, the Re did finish saying. Rias. An already upset Sona shouted. Wake up to reality, you are about to marry Rias or you are abandoning him. Besides, he is no longer your pawn, not anymore. He had to leave something here when he went to the alternate dimension, and you know that he left the 8 pawn pieces. You know that better than anyone, and finally you know that there are women who continue to faithfully wait for his return. And you know that both Kuroka and my one Issei are 2 of them who dream of his return and will follow him. Waiting until the end of time if necessary, said the Citri heiress with a venom on her friends already very upset. Besides, if he hadn't left, I would have surely fallen in love with a person like him, the heiress, Citri added, while the other girls looked at her with their eyes wide open in her surprise. I'm on Tsubaki, the Citri heir said, preparing to leave. See you soon, Rias, she said goodbye to leave the place. Tsubaki bows to say goodbye, but before that she says, I really would have liked to be able to have a relationship with him since he is one of the few men who knows how to make a woman feel loved and important, Queen Citri said to say goodbye and reach out to the king of her. Rias and Aquino were frozen by everything that just happened and everything that Sona said. She was completely right, and she couldn't deny any of that truth. And if he comes back and if we really don't wait long enough for him, the Redid said, making her friends start thinking when she heard her. If he returns and finds me married, will I be able to face the man who swears eternal love for him? Knowing that I am no longer his and I will no longer be able to be by his side, the black-haired woman thought, terrified by the last thing she mentioned. Alternate dimension. Who would have thought? You have reached a really high level, brat, said the dragon of the end to a certain brown-haired man lying on the ground without a shirt and with his pants torn. That is, thanks to you? The brunette answered with difficulty since he was out of breath. Partner, the power you have is really incredible. I can even feel it running through my entire body, said the red dragon excitedly. And that you have the sealed transformation, although you can activate it whenever you want, just sealing it because of the aura is very powerful, added the dragon of the end to Drake's comment. I already want to see Albion's face when he hits the ground with it, commented the red dragon. Well, with that you are ready to go. If you finish mastering the transformation, you would have a power that could put us 3 dragon gods in trouble. But this power I will be able to protect my loved ones. Wait for me, very soon I will return to you, said the brunette with a look of determination. Alternate dimension. Hey, Trihexa, how am I going to return if this dimension is sealed? Asked the brunette with doubt. It's easy. Despite being sealed, that seal is only for me. The seal has nothing to do with you. Plus, when you changed for those people, you reactivated the seal of that old fool, Yahweh, as a backup if the first one failed, answered the Trihexa somewhat chuckling. Really? I didn't know there was a second seal, said the brunette, totally confused by such a revelation. I didn't really even know that guy always liked to exaggerate things, Trihexas answered with disgust. Well, now how do I get out of here? Asked the brown man, interested and happy to be able to get out of here. With the help of the other 2 dragons that are in the dimension gap, Trihexa answered a confused brown man. Because you didn't tell me before that I could get out of here, Issei claimed the dragon of the end. Because I need enough energy to open the portal on this side, which makes it difficult for me with the seal since it suppresses my powers, Trihexa answered, annoyed to know that the seal suppresses it so much. I'm going to communicate with them, so shut up. He warned the brunette that he walked away and kept quiet so as not to interrupt him. At that moment it is seen how a black aura is surrounding the Trihexa's body, and after a few minutes the body shrinks, taking the shape of a black-haired human in a black suit. After a few minutes of having acquired human form, he expels a little more aura, causing a gap to open in front of him, where you can see Great Red and Office above him. Dimensional gap. Minutes before. Hey Office, why was she so weak? Is it because you missed that kid? Asked Great Red, bothering Office. Shut up, Bucka Red, answered an angry and blushing Office. You know, I'm surprised that you have feelings, as I knew you were known for not having feelings for anyone or anything. Great Red said, intrigued since Office had shown a side of her that no one knew, and all thanks to the brunette. That was before. Since I was with Issei, I have discovered a little about human emotion, so to speak, although there are some things that I still do not understand. Office responded seriously and sadly when she remembered that she has not seen the brunette since he sacrificed himself for the well-being of this world. Great Red remained silent, thinking about what he said. It was really a shame to lose him. He had great potential to become a new dragon god. At that moment when Great Red is about to say something, he felt an energy very familiar to him, just like Haho's. In front of them a portal opened where a man in a black suit could be seen watching them with a smile. -666 was what the dragon said when they looked at him and got into a fighting position. Hey there, fake apocalypse, how long have I not seen you? How have you been? Trihexa asked with a grin. What are you doing here? You should be sealed, Great Red said with annoyance. And I am? This is just a means to communicate with you, the Trihexa said calmly. What do you want? This time an annoyed Office asked. Not really much, I just need your help for a summoning circle, Trihexa responded to the two dragons. You're crazy, we're not going to help you come to this dimension, Great Red said with hostility. Oh no, I think you are wrong, the circle is not for me, but for this brat that is. Oh, I come here and say hello. The 666 shout the last thing to the confusion of both dragons. At that moment the person they least thought they saw appears. Although he has changed physically and his presence is much stronger than before, his aura remains the same. Good ice, the dragon said in surprise at the same time. Hello, Great Red Physis, how have you been? I've missed you, Issei commented in a relaxed manner. Ice, you are alive? Physis asked, impressed, although inside she was really filled with great happiness to see that he is alive. Well, many things happened, and one of them is that Rizavam had the Trihexa controlled since his body and mind were separated. That was not so difficult, and when we were fighting I was able to destroy the device that controlled him, which gave him freedom. The brunette answered calmly, telling them a part of everything that has happened to him. Hearing that, either of the two dragons could believe it, but seeing Issei confirmed that he was not lying. Wait. Trihexa, why didn't you kill him? And even though I know what you're like, killing him wouldn't be a problem for you. Great Red asked in a suspicious manner. Red for that observation and to answer your question. It is because the boy is very interesting. He talks to me as if I were one of his friends, and he was never afraid of me. Rather, he always had a determined look. He really reminded me in my young days before I was sent here to this world. Frigixa said in a fun way, surprising the two dragons since those words did not have any bad intention. Well, we'll help you. What do you want us to do? Office asked, a little unsure but happy to know that she can see the brunette again. I didn't think that the goddess of infinity could be interested in someone rather than her silence. Trihexa commented without being able to believe it. Meanwhile, La Brunette blushes at such a revelation, although happy since he always felt something for Office. What you have to do is easy. Bring someone to the dimensional gap who has knowledge of advanced magic and special summoning circles, then tell him to draw my circle in great detail, while the brat draws it on this side to connect the dimensions. Then Office add a small amount of magic to make the portal open. Now finally it has to be in the dimensional gap, said the Trihexa with total seriousness that surprised to all. Why here and not in the human world? Great Red asked doubtfully. Because out of gratitude for allowing me to get out of mental control I have been training this brat. Its aura, although it has not changed, is much denser and stronger than before. If it reaches the human world like this with just its presence, it can exterminate them. Since he trains with me, he doesn't know how strong he is, therefore he doesn't know how powerful his aura is. He concluded, explaining to Trihexa while smiling when he saw the surprised expression on the two dragons. He needs about 2 weeks if not sooner to stabilize his aura. In that time he cannot leave that dimension. I finished saying the Trihexa. It should be said that the dragons were still in shock at such a revelation since Issei trained with the great beast of the apocalypse and survived. Don't be so surprised after all. He has the blood and flesh of Red and the power and energy of Office. And now he also has my training. This boy is still on the way to becoming the next true dragon god, said the Trihexa with a big smile at the sea, the two dragons fainting from the impact. After a few minutes of fainting, they are now a little calmer, and now analyzing the information they just said. This was actually a good thing since Great Red, even though he does nothing for the human world, really wants the dragons to be feared and respected. In the case of Phyllis, her heart was beating fast, and she was extremely red and happy since the person who took a personal interest in her, that person who always cares about her, now had what she always wanted, to be able to protect her, her loved ones. But in addition to being like this, Office was getting excited because for female dragons, dragons that show authority and respect are the most coveted by females. And being able to see the male that she has been having feelings for is so powerful, it was exciting. Well, Baka Red, I'll take care of the rest. You create a field for the summoning, said a red Office after that shock had gone away. Okay, but who are you bringing? Great Red asked doubtfully, making Office think. The Office? Why don't you bring Lefay since she is the best magician we know? The brunette suggested, an act to which Office agreed since she knows her. At that moment she disappears into a gap to go look for a certain magician. Well, I am going to prepare the circle on the side. When you are ready, summon the brat, since I think we are going to finish before you, said the Trihexa, returning to his dimension. Once the portal closed, he looks at the brunette and says, Listen, kid, when it is controlled I could feel how one of those gods took away a lot of my power. Be careful from here on out and train a lot, since I think that very soon you are going to fight with that person, Trihexa said very seriously, making which Issei nods very seriously. 10 minutes later the magic circle was finished, and Issei sits in the pure center waiting for him to be summoned from the other side. Human world. Pendragon Castle. I already told you that I don't think about nor do I want to get married, said a woman with waist-length blonde hair, white skin that makes her look beautiful, long legs, wide hips, perfect breasts that make her look too attractive, and a face that expresses pure beauty. She was the daughter of the great Pendragon family, Lefay Pendragon. We already discussed this, daughter. You are going to marry young William of the Devru family, Lady Pendragon said with authority. But mother, I don't even know him. I've never seen him, and besides I already have someone I like, and he is the person I want to marry because I am deeply in love with him, the magician said with determination. If you are talking about the Securitate, he has already been dead for years. Now you have to look after your future, said Lord Pendragon. Marrying a person I have never seen or met in my life, the magician responded, already very upset. At that moment when the magician's parents were going to answer, a gap opens up from the room and a gothic loli emerges from it. Office-sama, what are you doing here? The magician asked, very surprised as she approached the goddess. The magician's parents were very pale in the face of such a presence, so they just remained silent, while they watched and listened to the conversation. Leif, we need your help, Ulfus said without any emotion as she surprised the magician. We have found a way to bring ice back to this dimension, Alpha said naturally, but inside she was really very happy to be able to see the brunette. Leif, upon hearing that great news, could not react, and out of nowhere, tears began to run down her cheeks because of the happiness she felt at that moment, since the tears only came out without stopping, knowing that she can see the person again, that she admires and respects so much, that person that she has not been able to see for 10 long years, that person who did not have the courage to confess his love for fear of rejection, and that all this time, he has been regretting for not having said anything to him. But now she has the opportunity to see him, to hug him, to be able to be with him by his side, to be with the person she loves, and with that last thought she comes out of the shock she was in, she wipes her tears and tells Office. Office-sama, please tell me how I can help you even if necessary, the magician said with great finality. The Office covers her with the power she was protecting and tells her to continue entering the gap again, an action that the magician does not hesitate for a moment, and also enters the gap, disappearing, leaving the parents very surprised and with a just thought. The world will change with the return of the Securitate dimensional gap. It seems they have already arrived, Great Red said as he saw Arthas and Lefay emerge from the gap that was created in the protected field. Lefay, I need you to draw this circle with high-level summoning magic, the size of the person, and then help me add a little magic to it since it needs to connect with the other dimension while he activated. Alpha said, handing her a sheet where the circle that is needed was. Lefay nods with determination and immediately begins to create the circle, which took him around 15 minutes to create since it was very complex and detailed. Once finished, she stands next to Offa, and they prepare to start it and bring the man she is in love with. Both women put magical power in a circle, causing it to activate, and after a few seconds a tall man appears with long brown hair up to his waist in disarray, a very well-defined body, no shirt, only with torn pants, and what caught the man's attention the most. 3 people who saw him, he had green right eyes and purple left eyes with a look that showed seriousness, but at the same time tranquility and warmth. Hello, it's been a while. Issei couldn't finish his office, and Lefay jumped on him to hug him tightly, causing him to fall to the ground where he heard the 2 girls say his name repetitively. It's really you, it's really Issei-sama, Lefay said with tears in her eyes, hugging him very tightly since she was afraid that everything was a dream and that he wasn't here. Of course it's me, but who are you? Asked the brunette, confused when he saw the beautiful blonde who had him hugging since she had beautiful blonde hair down to her waist, beautiful blue eyes, an amazing body, and she had perfect breasts, wide hips and long legs. But after a few minutes of seeing her in more detail and seeing that wizard cape and hat that he had, he opened his eyes in surprise when he knew who that beautiful girl was. Wait a moment, Lefay, the brown man shouted when he recognized her. When Leif hears that he recognizes her, she only raises her head and looks into his eyes. When she sees them, she blushes fiercely since the brunette had become very handsome, and seeing those beautiful eyes that reflect maturity but also tranquility did not help her at all. Then she nods in confirmation that it is her. Woo-woo. But what happened to you? I mean, you look gorgeous, said the brunette, blushing when he saw how beautiful she looked since before she was very beautiful, but now he had no words to say how beautiful she was. So, the Fae couldn't take it anymore, and tears began to come out of her eyes and go down her red cheeks because of what the brunette had said. She felt extremely happy. Finally, after so long, she was able to see him again and hug the person she loves. Being able to feel that heat that comes from his body, that calm aura that comes from him, and that sensation that just his presence gives off is something that you never want to stop feeling. On the other hand, Office did not say anything, but her expression of happiness and joy said many things since she had a strong grip on him, inhaling the smell, feeling his aura on her body, and the sensation of warmth and tranquility she felt when having him so close. It's a feeling she hasn't felt in years. Seeing that neither of the 2 girls wanted to let him go, Issei simply hugged them lovingly, making them hug him harder, as if he never wanted to let go since they had settled on each side of Issei and remained like that for a few minutes. Hours. After a few hours, they released him little by little until the brunette could stand up and he could see a Lefay and an Office who had his hands tightly growled. Lefay, although she was blushing, did not want to let him go yet. She just wanted to be like this a little longer, at Office's request that no matter what, she was not going to let him go. Issei, seeing this, just smiles, and after a day that passing, you can see the 2 girls a little calmer. I'm glad you guys okay, the brunette commented as he caressed both of their heads with a smile, making them blush when they saw him smile that way. Issei-sama, I'm glad you're okay, the magician said while she tried to control her blush. I haven't seen you for so long, Leif, look at you, you have become a beautiful woman. How long has it been? The brunette asked the blonde. 10 years, Issei-sama. The magician answered, happy but also sad to know everything that has changed in this time. 10 years, I was in it for so long, said the brunette, very surprised since he couldn't tell how much time had passed. Well, nothing can be done, I was really surprised to see how beautiful a Fae looked on you, the brunette said, making the magician blush as hard as she could because of the compliment. The Office for some reason didn't like that comment, but she didn't know why. I'm really dying to see everyone, so come on girls, let's go visit everyone, the brunette said very enthusiastically. You can't, at least not yet, said a man of about 35 years old, handsome with red hair and a white suit with red parts. Great red in that appearance, it's the first time I've seen you like this, also why I can't go, the brunette asked, confused. First, your aura is very strong if you leave here and reach the human world. With just your presence you will kill everyone, Great Red said calmly, making the brunette remember what the Trihexa told him. Second, you need a little training to be able to properly control your aura, to which I will give it to you. I finished saying Great Red. Finally, It would be better for you to stay here while that girl tells you everything that has happened and at the same time fixes your hair since it is a disaster. And you can't walk like this since you are a nominee to become the next true dragon god, so you need to command respect with your presence and the way you are. You're disgusting," Bright Red said without mincing words. But it also surprised the brunette and the magician a lot since they didn't know anything about that topic. After a few minutes, the magician began to tell him everything that had happened and what was happening, in addition to telling him that Riaz and the others made their lives without him, making him feel really sad and depressed, but also happy since at the same time fewer are happy. "So all that happened, wow, it really surprises me a lot, but I'm also happy for them," the brunette said with a sincere smile, but a tear ran down his cheek. When the magician saw this, she hugged him and told him that she would always be there for him, her making the brunette calm down a little. "I also told him that all this time they have been at peace, although from time to time a group that no one knows who they are attacks causing problems. Also, Asia and Rojuus married an high-class devil named Ryu who is a teacher at Citri Academy, and is friends with Sona and Riaz. Iniko and Kunu became close friends and became engaged to the son of a Yokai general and soon married. Ali got married and has 5 wives. It should be said that when the magician said that to the brunette, he was shocked since he never imagined that Vala would be interested in women, much less getting married. He has as his wife Maya, a high-class devil from the anti-mass faction, silver hair with a good body, with a somewhat serious personality. Lefay, a mage and former member of Chaos Brigito, Vala saved her from her since she was brainwashed into controlling her. Lavinia, another high-class mage, a blue-eyed blonde with a beautiful body, has a very jealous personality since she was the first of her wives, and she claims Vala as hers since she says he is her right. Riken is another high-class devil of House Belphegor, black hair, brown eyes and a unique beauty. Ivilia is a Yokai who is Yasaka's personal lady and close friend, blue eyes, blonde and a voluptuous body. Arthur is the bodyguard of the Norse god, Odin, along with Bichu. Revel is forcibly engaged by her family since she does not want to get married. He also told her that she and Revel are very close friends, in fact, you can even say that they are sisters. Deba is dating his childhood friend from the Holy Swords Project Asuka and left Tsubaki alone, leaving her very hurt and depressed. Vesper has a very firm relationship with Valeria and says that he wants to follow in his senpai's footsteps and create a harem. Sona got together with Saji although they only have a dating relationship, and Saji is married to Momo and Baruko. Then he told him that there are girls who were waiting for him to return and were not with anyone, as in the case of Kuroka, Serafall and Yusaku, an act that greatly surprised the brunette, mainly Serafall, who had no idea why she was in love with him. Until Drake told him that it's probably because of everything he told her when her life was saved, she surely fell in love, and after thinking about it for a moment, she agreed with him. And finally she told him that Riaz is engaged to raise her again since he had changed a lot, and more than that he helped Riaz a lot when he left, when she heard that she was very depressed, but she was happy since she is happy with him, and that he loved and respected her. Issei remained silent, while she took in all of this while Lefay cut his hair and offices sitting on his lap since she did not want to leave the brunette. "You know I'm getting married in a few weeks," the magician commented, pulling the brunette out of his thoughts with a sad tone. "You love him?" asked the brunette, quite interested. "Not at all. I don't even know him, it was my parents' idea, and since my brother is with Odin Dano, he doesn't know anything about this subject," the magician answered, while she lowered her head and some treacherous tears ran down her cheeks. The brunette said to the magician, who was surprised by such a response. Would you really do that for me?" the magician asked the brunette with tears coming out of her beautiful eyes. Issei looks into her eyes as she gives him a light gentle caress on her cheeks as she tells her calmly, "Of course, I would do that for you and much more. You have always been by my side in the good and bad times, helping me in every way possible. Plus, well, I don't want to let an idiot take away something as precious as me. You are what you are to me." He said that last thing while blushing for the statement he had just made. The magician did not believe what she had just heard. Issei considered her something precious to him, and she was so much that she did not want to lose him for anything. But Issei-sama, If you interfere, it means that you will be engaged to me, the magician said very nervously. Well, if you don't mind having someone like me as your fiancé, the brunette said. But Faye couldn't believe it. The brunette had just declared directly that he loves her as his wife, something she had never imagined. Her heart began to beat like crazy when she saw that the brunette loved her. This caused her to start crying out loud. So much happiness I had at that moment. Seeing that she started to cry, Issei thought that she did not want to have him as a husband, and it really saddened him because despite being stuck in the other dimension, he spent his time thinking about his loved ones, and she was one of those people who thought. Now that before sealing himself with the Trihexa he had feelings for the magician, but he did not know how to tell her since she was a very beautiful woman and had always supported him. Oh? Well, if you don't want to calm down we can. But when Issei was talking he is interrupted by Lefay. No, the magician shouted very hurriedly. No, please, if it's okay for you, I'll be delighted to accept, said the magician, very agitated and happy. Issei was surprised by this action. She really agreed to be his wife, which had made him extremely happy. Sure, I don't want to force you to do anything. Of course I would be delighted to have you as my wife since it would make me extremely happy, said the brunette, very embarrassed but also firm. Yes, please. Make me your wife. The magician said, very happy since what she had waited for so many years was now happening. And I was always in love with you, Issei-sama. But for fear of rejection I kept quiet, and when you left I felt very alone and I regretted so many times for not being able to say anything to you, but now that you are here I want to tell you what. I like you, so please allow me to be by your side, the magician said, very embarrassed but with a determined look. Issei was surprised at such a revelation. She did not expect her to have such strong feelings for him after 10 years. Partner, what the magician says is true. I can see the sincerity and love in her words. Drake commented in his mind. His was even more surprised by his friend's confirmation. Then he got closer to her, caressing her cheek, making her blush and look at him in her eyes. Those eyes that made her blush even more since they reflected love and affection in them. Leif, I want to tell you that I like you too. I have been in love with you for more than 10 years, but I had never realized it. And when I was locked in the dimension, that was when I realized it. But it was too late to tell you what I felt. But now that I'm here I want to ask you to become my girlfriend and fiancé. But I also want to tell you that if you could share with me since I also have feelings for other people who are waiting for me. The brunette asked with fear since he thinks he's going to say no, and that idea really terrified him. He didn't want to lose her. Yes, the magician responded. Yes. I don't mind sharing you as long as you have me in your heart, and love me the same as the others. The only thing I ask is that you always allow me to be by your side, said a very happy Lefay, since the person who had loved her is returning her love. In addition to sharing it, it didn't bother her since she knew who the others were who had feelings for the brunette. Then in a moment, the brunette begins to cut distance, an action that the magician copies by gradually getting closer to the brunette's lips and then kiss. Lip contact occurred and both were lost in the moment. Upon feeling Lefay's lips, Issei is invaded by a feeling of love that fills him completely, erasing absolutely everything in her mind. Only her mind, that moment she is living. In an instant, to deepen her kiss, Issei delicately takes her waist, bringing her closer to him. On the other hand, Leif felt that no moment in her life can surpass this one she is experiencing. Few things in life are as beautiful as the pleasure of kissing the person you love. When she felt that her brown hair man took her by her waist, bringing her closer to her, he passed her arms around her neck to also deepen her kiss. The kiss lasted for several minutes. Lefay felt her heart leave her chest because of how fast it was beating, but she didn't care. The only thing she cared about was continuing until they both separated, leaving a thin thread of saliva. Thank you for being here, the brunette said as she shook her head. Thank you for allowing me to be next to her, said the magician with a very red face, but with an expression of joy and happiness. After they continued the conversation, it should be said that Lefay had an expression of happiness that she had not had in years. At that moment, Great Red arrives and went to check the area to see if she was safe, and they could train here. The brunette already had his hair done and cut, although it was still long. Well, kid, let's train. In 1 or 2 weeks you may already control your aura and there will be no danger of you going to the human world. Great Red commented seriously. Lefay, go home and tell your parents that I'm going to go talk to them very soon, he told the blonde. Also take office with you and I want you to wait for me. I will come for you very soon. The brunette said calmly. It's okay, Issei-sama, let's go, Offa-sama, said the magician, but Offa didn't want to leave Issei alone, who had him holding his arm tightly. Office, go with Lefay, very soon I will be with you guys, and I promise. Thanks for watching and supporting us. I will always see you in the next part, said the brunette, while kissing the gothic loli's forehead, to which she blushes from the kiss and goes with the magician, Pendergast. Well, Great Red, let's get started, said the brown man excitedly, that after returning, not everything was bad news, there was also good news, as in the case of love for Lefay, and also to see if what Office feels for him is love, since he does feel I feel affection for her. This will be fun, said the dragon with a grin. Underworld, Phoenix Castle. 3 days after return. Mother, father, I'm going out, said the fourth daughter of the Phonax clan, who over the years has become one of the most attractive young women in the underworld, and at only 25, with blonde hair with 2 large pigtails, curls almost to her waist, dark blue eyes, large and firm breasts, wide hips, long, white-skinned legs that make her look beautiful. It's okay, daughter, but don't take too many days since we have to continue with the preparations for the wedding, Lady Phoenix said. Mother, I really have to marry him. You know who I'm in love with, said the blonde, depressed and sad since her family is forcing her to marry the young man from the Barbados clan. Of course, daughter, we have to make the clan prosper, and the union with them would greatly benefit us all, said Lord Phoenix, happy about the commitment. But mother, you know that I already have a fiancé and he is the one I want to marry, the blonde commented with frustration and sadness. If you are referring to the Sekurita, forget it, that boy must already be dead, and if he is still alive, he will be sealed forever, said Lord Phoenix seriously and harshly. When Revel hears those words, she feels great pain in her heart, since she has been in pain for 10 years, for having lost the person she admired and also the person she loved, and she loves because even after 10 years she is still deeply in love of him. There is not a day that she does not think of him, and a night that she does not think of him, and she has never lost hope of seeing him again and being by his side again. But with the forced marriage, she is going to lose her freedom, and with that the ride and the hope of being able to be by his side. With her permission, her father, mother, I am leaving, said the blonde Phoenix to leave, since arguing about the topic would go nowhere, and would only make her feel more pain. Where are you going, daughter? Asked Lord Phoenix. Did the Gremry Castle, father, and from there to the human world at the Cow Academy. The blonde confirmed to retire. Human world. Cow Academy. Occult club building. 5 days after Issei's arrival. You can see Irena, Asia and Zenobia sitting in an armchair, Kaneko, Akino and Revel in another armchair, and Rajwas are in a single armchair, while Ria's at the desk where she always sits. Although they no longer go to school, the school is under their care, as well as the entire city, which remains an area of the 3 fractions. Thank you all for coming. I know you have to be very busy, especially Revel and Kaneko, who is going to get married very soon, Rias commented to the Gremry group. Don't worry, Rias-sama, I will always be there for you, answered Kaneko. Please don't even remind me, Rias-sama, since that wedding is without my consent, added the blonde Phoenix, somewhat angry and sad. What happens to Revel? The ex-nun asked. Sigh, I had an argument with my parents before leaving, since I don't want to marry the young man from the Barbados clan, the blonde answered, sad and frustrated at not being able to do anything. Why not Revel? If that young man is very polite and kind, he also likes you a lot, the black-haired woman commented with her typical giggle. Because I don't love him, the blonde answered with tears in her eyes. Excuse me for this, but I'm not like you, the blonde commented while tears ran down her cheeks. That simple comment surprised everyone in the room. They were not expecting that answer. I only love one person, and that is the only person I want to marry and be by her side, Revel said while she cried with frustration and sadness. I only love Issei-sama. He is the only person in this world that I can love and want to love, since he is the only person who cares about others without caring about himself, who smiles sincerely even when things are bad, who protects his loved ones with his life, who sacrifices himself for the people who are important to him even when it kills him," Revel said, crying nonstop. Everyone present in the room was in shock. "I don't know how you forgot about him just like that, as if he were nobody, although I don't judge you for that, but maybe you don't remember everything he did for all of us. In almost 2 years that we were with him, he did for us so much that not even the entire life of a demon or angel is enough to repay him." Revel finished saying with her head down, and tears ran down her cheeks as memories came to her mind. "I can't forget the person who spoke to me sincerely. Hello, my name is Issei, the person who welcomes you with a smile. Welcome, Revel, to our home. The one who made me smile even if she didn't want to. Come on, Revel, smile, so you look prettier. The person who saved me when they kidnapped me. Revel, you're okay, I've come to save you. The person who protected me with his life from an evil dragon. Don't worry, Revel, I will protect you. The person who sacrificed himself for me, to stop me from being well. I won't let anything bad happen to you even if it leads to my death. The person who saw me as a woman and not as an object to prize. Well, you're very pretty, Revel. How? Tell me how? How can you not fall in love with a person like that? Revel said while tears ran down his cheeks without stopping. All the people in the club were shocked by the reality of those words, and for many minutes no one answered or said anything. Revel calmed down, wiped away her tears, and broke the silence. I'm sorry everyone, but I don't feel well, so I'm going to leave, said the blonde as she disappeared in a magic circle. Some time after Revel left, the club remained dead silent until he spoke. Issei is really great. He always cared about protecting me. Asia said. I will protect you, Asia. The only person who accepted me as I was. Aquino said. I don't care what you are, forever Aquino is Aquino. The only person who supported me when I needed it. Kaneko said. I will always be there for you, Kaneko-chan. The only one who understood me, Zenobia said. Don't carry everything on your own, I'm with you too. The only one who cared about my well-being. Irina said. You're okay, Irina. I'm really glad you weren't hurt. The only one who saw me when no one saw me, said Razwazar. You are a wonderful and very pretty woman. The only one who loved me is a woman and not for titles or wealth, said Rias. I love you for who you are, not for what you have. But none of that matters anymore, right? Said a voice I saw from the door. Sona, they all said at the same time, and in fact it was Sona Citri and her queen Tsubaki Shinra who had arrived and sat in 2 chairs that were free. None of those thoughts are important to see anymore, even if Ice-kun returns, Citri commented out loud so that everyone could hear her. What do you mean, Sona? Asked Rias, a little annoyed at the comment. Even if Ice-kun returns, nothing will change for you. Aquino and Razwazar-san are married. Asia-san, Irina-san and Zenobia-san have had boyfriends for almost 8 years. I imagine they are too in love to finish them, and both Kaneko and Urias are leaving home very soon. Citri answered calmly and serenely. Everyone was silent since they couldn't say anything because those words were pure and harsh reality. Even so, Ice only loves me. He will come to my side since he is my lover, Rias said, breaking the silence with words of great pride. Tell me something, Rias. How do you think Ice-kun is going to react when he realizes that the women he loves and gave his life for are married or have boyfriends? Sona said, already married, that Rias doesn't understand. But only we can be his girlfriends and wives. Asia said. Asia-san, tell me something. If Ice-san comes back, you will leave Walsa-Millicent to be Ice-san's girlfriend? Queen Citri asked. Asia froze at that question because she didn't know what to do since she loved Ice-san, but she didn't want to leave her boyfriend because she was in love with him. I'm going to tell you something as a friend. If Ice comes back, do him a favor. Forget about him and do as you have done until now because he doesn't exist, said the Citri, shocking everyone. And mainly let him fall in love, since there are really women who are really waiting for him, like One-sama and Kuroka, who are waiting for him, and not like you who say they are waiting for him, but they are with other men, commented the Citri angrily. She acted. He then got up and walked to the door with his queen to withdraw. I hope you follow the advice I gave you, the Citri said before leaving through the door with her queen of her side. Everyone in the room was in shock since those hard and cold words that the Citri heiress told them were the pure truth. Then the thought ran through the minds of everyone present. Maybe we don't wait long enough. Dimensional gap, 1 week after Issei's arrival. It seems that you are ready. Look, controlling all that aura in that way is impressive, larva. Great Red said while washing Issei. Thank you, Great Red, for your help. The brunette thanked him, not to mention, since that is a small gift for being the next dragon god. Great Red confirmed. Greg, who heard this, was so moved that he cried with happiness since he was not the op-eyed dragon. Now he has a nickname worthy of him. And even more than that, now he was going to be respected and feared as he should be. What's wrong, Drag? Asked the brunette when he heard that his friend was crying. I'm happy, nothing more since I'm no longer an epee dragon. Now I have a nickname worthy of me. I'm so happy that I can't stop crying. Dryag said with mixed feelings. Now calm down, friend, sorry for everything I've put you through, but now I will build a reputation worthy of you, friend, said the brunette with determination. Issei turned to see where Great Red was and said in a serious tone. Please, Great Red, don't tell anyone about what happened here, please, said the brunette, remembering that the first few days he spent crying in pain when he saw that his loved ones had changed him so easily. Don't worry, larva, no one is going to know anything. For now you better go clean all that dirt that you have in the lake. The Great Red ordered Issei, an act that Issei obeyed, and after a few minutes he returns clean, but with the worn clothes that had before. Well, I'm leaving, I'm going to go see Office in Lefay, said Issei. Wait, how are you going to go dressed like that to your females? Great Red said, confusing the brown man, who no longer understood what he was referring to. You are now the one with the title of the next dragon god. You need to make them respect you wherever you go, and with those clothes, you are only going to make them laugh at you and make fun of us. Commented the Great Red in a very I would be. Hearing that, Issei was surprised, but then she remembered that Great Red and Trihexa dress very well in their human form, even office dresses like that. Then a magic circle appeared on the brunette's head while it passed over his body, changing his clothing to a more appropriate one. Now the brunette was wearing sneakers and black pants to dress the body. A white long-sleeved shirt and a red vest that perfectly adapts to Issei's torso, revealing his well-worked body. His hair was the same in front, but behind him, he had reached his waist. He had it tied in a thin ponytail that slid over his left shoulder, making him look even more attractive than he already was. Great Red smiled when he saw the brunette's new appearance. Good. Larva is better now. Now go with your females who are waiting for you, and if you need anything, just tell me, Great Red said with a satisfactory smile. Issei was surprised by his flexible attitude, and after a few moments he came to the conclusion that it was because of his power, and being of the same race that treated him that way. He nodded his head and created a gap and then disappeared into it. Human world, Pendragon Castle. So this is home. Life has not changed much, it is still a beautiful place. Issei commented to himself while he admired the garden. Once at the door he knocks. Immediately the door opens showing a young man dressed as a maid. The housekeeper turns the door as red as possible when she sees such a handsome young man. Excuse me, young lady, I am looking for the young woman. Lefay Pemdagen would be so kind to inform you that I am looking for her, said the brunette in a very elegant way, making the poor maid blush even more. But before she can answer, a gothic loli comes out with the intention of hugging him, but when she was a few centimeters away from him, she freezes while a big blush runs across her cheeks. When she sees how good the brunette looks, she didn't know why he was acting like that way, but I let them pass. I still didn't understand well what was called feelings. Seconds later the magician comes out to receive him, but when she sees him she is petrified. When she sees how handsome and sexy he looks, her heart begins to beat as if there were no tomorrow. Seeing her girlfriend like that, Issei thinks that she really looks adorable, and she thinks about playing a little prank on him. She approaches the magician slowly, making her blush intensify. She swims closer to where her boyfriend hugs her waist with delicacy and love, making the beautiful magician blow smoke out of her head because of how embarrassed she is to have him so close. At that moment, Issei leans into her ear and says softly, "You look extremely pretty when you're embarrassed," and kisses her tenderly, making the magician get lost in her mind. since the contact is simply carried away by that moment that makes her heart not stop beating like crazy. After a few moments they separate, leaving a thin thread of sap. Ice, why don't we go in? Alpha said, taking the couple out of his thoughts. Of course, my parents are waiting for you, the magician said with a big smile. They all passed, walking down a long corridor until they reached a very large room where there was a couple waiting for them. When the brunette sees them, he adopts a serious attitude. Have a very good afternoon, Lord and Lady Pendragon, said the brunette when he arrived in front of them, bowing his head a little in respect. Have a very good afternoon, young hairdo, Lord Pendragon said in a calm manner. In brown hair man, he waited for a female voice to say something similar, but it never came, and when he looked at Lady Pendragon, he was surprised, although really not only Lord Pendragon and Lefay were, and this was because the lady was totally red-minded with her eyes open because of how handsome and sexy the brunette looked, plus when she saw those eyes, they made her shudder. The right eye showed her tranquility, but at the same time it is full of tranquility and respect, while the left one was warm and deep, but also transmitted maturity and wisdom. Mother is okay? A worried Lefay asked when she saw her mother like that. Hey, yes, I'm sorry. Have a very good afternoon, young Hidu, lady answered, a little calmer while everyone took their seats. Issei sat in a long chair with Office on his right who was hugging him, and a very nervous Lefay on his left. Seeing her like this, Issei takes her hand to calm her down. Lord and Lady Pendragon, who were sitting in another chair in front of them, watched the action and showed them that he really loves her, although they still don't know to what extent. Lord and Lady Pendragon, I will go straight to the point. I am in his presence for 2 reasons, the brunette said, drawing everyone's attention. First, I am here before you to ask you to cancel the engagement with the Devered house, the brunette asked in a serious tone. Second, I came for the hand of her daughter, said the brunette with a determined look, while a certain magician turned red at such words, although they really made her very happy. Leif's parents were surprised by what Issei said. They knew that she had feelings for the securities, but what they did not know is that the securities also had feelings for their daughter, and there were so many that he was in front of them asking for her hand. They were really happy. Although William Devereux was not a saint, at least he would have his daughter safe if they tried something against her. But if she is with the Securitate, who would dare to lay a hand on the wife of one of the most dangerous men strong in the world? But before they can say anything, the door bursts open, revealing a high-status man with black hair and formal clothing and a fine face. I have come for my fiancée. Where is my beautiful princess? The young man said with a lascivious face, but he changed it to anger and displeasure when he saw his fiancée so attached and holding the hand of another man. What are you doing here, William, and stop calling me that? I'm not going to marry you, the magician demanded with anger in her eyes. William walked to where this one was, she said. Stop playing, you know that you are only safe with me, so come with me at once. Young William said angrily, but when he was about to grab his hand the brunette stopped him. What are you doing, you dirty commoner? Let go of me, you're going to contaminate me with your dirt, William claimed to the brunette, who simply ignored him. Issei gets up from the couch while she squeezes the black-haired man's hand harder until she breaks it. In a second, the screams of pain that came from her black-haired man could be heard. Issei lets go of his hand and falls to the ground from the pain. At that moment, everything in the room becomes cold, and the air heavy. This is because Issei released a minimal part of his aura, causing everyone to start breathing hard. The Brown, upon seeing that, concentrates so that all his aura is directed solely at young William. Leif's parents were surprised by the powerful aura that Issei had. I'll only tell you 2 things, the brunette said to the black-haired man who was on the ground almost unconscious due to the powerful aura he felt. First, show respect when you are in my presence, said the brunette in a serious tone. The second, absolutely no one touches my wife, understood, the brunette asked, receiving a yes, nothing more from the black-haired man before falling unconscious. Issei keeps her aura again, sits down again next to Office, grabs him again by the brunette's arm. Leif was blushing when she saw how he defended her, and even more so for having called her wife, making her feel extremely happy. Well then, where do we stay, Lord and Lady Pendragon? The brunette said in a calm manner. Lord and Lady saw the unconscious William under the brunette's feet and did not know what to say. That saying is really true. Don't touch a dragon's things. You've got yourself a good man, daughter, the Lord said happily, as they took an unconscious William away. The brunette was surprised and touched the back of his head with his hand as a sign of shame, while he blushed a little, on the part of Lefay, who had her face covered with her hands out of shame, although she had a big smile, knowing that the man loves he reciprocates his feelings. Well, young Hida, how about he gets married in 3 weeks? The lady said to the young man who was surprised. Since I see that my daughter loves you very much and you love her, and that we had everything prepared for the wedding with William, we can take advantage and marry my daughter at once, Lady said with a big smile, since she knew that her daughter was not going to make the only one, but at least she was going to make her first thick one. Issei froze at the proposal. Lefay was fuming with embarrassment. Although she had to admit the idea fascinated her, since she can marry the person she loves so much and fulfill that dream that she had always had since the brunette left to start a family by her side. And although she knew that she was not going to do the only one, at least going to be with the person she loves and who earned her unconditional love. After a few minutes of silence, Issei stands up and disappears into a gap, surprising everyone present. Lefay becomes sad, thinking that perhaps Issei did not love her enough to marry her. While she was thinking about that, she opened another gap that came out brown, but everyone was surprised to see that in her hand, she had a piece of extremely black coal. Issei approaches Lefay and kneels with one leg in front of her, who looks at her with surprise and doubt. He then gently takes her hand as he looks into her eyes. She looks into his eyes and blushes because those beautiful eyes reflected immense love and affection. She puts the coal in the middle of the two and tells him in a calm and loving tone, Lefay Pendragon, in the short time we have been together, you have shown me a love that I had not felt in years. You have made me feel like a lucky man to be able to spend even a few moments with you, since you are a wonderful person and a very beautiful woman. That's why I'm here to ask you if you would do me the great honor of making this dragon the happiest in the world, becoming his wife. Said Issei. Well, the piece of coal shone, turning into a beautiful gold ring with a beautiful yellow diamond embedded. Everyone present was surprised, except Ohai's, of course, who had the same expression. Lord and Lady had their eyes wide open at such a scene, and even more so at the power that the ring had, since despite being beautiful, it had a dragonish aura. Lefay did not know how to respond, since in front of her she had the only man she had always respected and loved in the whole world, with whom she had always wanted to be and always dreamed of marrying him. She was asking him to be her wife. Tears ran down her cheeks, but these were not of sadness, but rather of happiness, since there was the man she loves kneeling in front of her with a ring in his hand, asking to be his wife, fulfilling the little dream he had longed for most. She couldn't believe the words didn't come out of her mouth, while tears continued to roll down her cheeks without stopping. They could only shake their head in confirmation while saying a muffled yes. The brunette smiles at her, takes her hand that was trembling and places the ring on one of her fingers. Upon seeing this, she couldn't take it anymore and jumped into the arms of her beloved fiancé, giving him a big kiss, and when they part they look at each other, and each one tells the other how much they love each other. Lord and Lady Pendragon, it would be an honor for me to marry his daughter Lefay Pendragon, said the brunette, as he turned to see them with Lefay in her arms that she did not want to let go of. They simply nodded and said that the wedding would be in 3 weeks. They also asked him if he wanted to invite someone, whether from heaven or the underworld. No problems. But he only said that he wanted his parents to be present and for the wedding to be private, that no one in the supernatural world knows that I am alive and would like to remain that way even for a few more weeks, to which Lefay's parents agreed since they understood why. And so time passed. Issei and Lefay spent time together deepening their love. It cannot be said that the magician was very happy. Issei also spent a lot of time with Office, teaching her about feelings and being able to speak and act in her own way without being influenced by others. In that time that she spent with the brunette, she developed a great attachment to him, and she was also able to understand what she felt. 3 days before they got married, she went to visit her parents to pick them up and also be able to talk to them a little since she hadn't seen them for a while, and to introduce them to his fiancée. Human world. Chaos City. Haida residence. Parents. You could see 3 people in front of a more or less large house. It was no longer the same mansion as before. Now it was a 3-story single-minded house. A lot has changed, said the brunette, surprised. After everyone graduated from Cowan University, each of them went their own way, although they still get along well and see each other very often. They no longer live here, so it was decided to make a house comfortable enough for your parents to live in. Time of her life and peace and quiet. With that, the leaders made this house comfortable enough for a couple. The magician explained, somewhat nervously. When I see you, I'm going to thank you, said the brunette, approaching to ring the bell. At once a slightly older woman comes out, but when she sees the brunette she begins to shed tears. Hello, Okaizen, how have you been? Asked the brunette, happy to see his beloved mother. Ice. Is it really you? Ice, my son? The mother asked with tears. The father, upon hearing what his wife said, runs to the door to start shedding tears of happiness upon seeing his son again. Of the hello, O2-san, how have you been? The brunette said calmly, but the parents still couldn't say anything about the joy they had at seeing their son alive. Oh, Tusa, Okisine, I'm back, the brunette said as he held his arms out to him, while he smiled happily as tears of happiness ran down his cheeks. Human world. Kao. Kyoto residents' parents. They all went home. Issei tells them everything that has happened to him and experienced. Then his parents tell him everything that they have been through, and now they live peacefully. Son, tell me something. Rias and the girls know that you're alive? The mother asked curiously. No, Ako-san, in fact no one knows, said the brunette calmly, lowering his head with a touch of sadness in his eyes, because even if they are happy, they are happy, lowering his head with a touch of sadness in his eyes, because even if they are happy, they are happy. Remember that everyone forgot about him very quickly. The mother saw his reaction and thought it must be hard. What are you going to do then? Will you tell them? The father asked this time. I won't do anything, oh Twisant, they've already made their life and I'm trying mine, the brunette answered when he felt the hand of Lefay in office. And about whether to tell them if I will, but not yet, it's too early. Also, I have come to inform you of something very important, says the brunette, looking at Lefay, who turns red, making her look very beautiful in the brunette's eyes, while the parents wondered what it was. I want to introduce you to Lefay Pendragon, my fiancée and future wife, Issei said in a happy manner. The aforementioned stood up, bowed, and told them how they had been since she already knew them as well as they knew her. When the parents heard the news, they were quite surprised since they were not expecting it. Wait. Son, you're being serious. Are you going to marry her? The parents asked, confused and surprised. He nodded, and Lefay was a little sad since she thought that they did not want her to be their wife, until she felt them take her hands. When she saw who they were, she was surprised, since they were the parents of her beloved, with tears in her eyes, and a big smile. We are entrusting you with our son, dear Fei-chan. I hope he is enough to make you happy, commented the mother with great happiness. Odd, our grandchildren will be precious to have such a beautiful mother. The father finished saying, Don't worry, Mrs. Hyoto, since Isama is the person who makes me immensely happy, and about your grandchildren, Mr. Hyoto, and I will try my best to give them some nice grandchildren. The magician said, so red that she was about to collapse from embarrassment, while Lake only smiled since he loved seeing his beloved in that cute way. Call me Okaizen, the mother said happily. And to me, O Tusser dear, the father said. Welcome to our family. The two said at the same time, making the magician very happy, but also so embarrassed that she can't stand it anymore. Would faint. Issei held her gently, lays her on the couch while putting his head on her legs, while gently caressing her cheek with a lot of love and affection. The parents, seeing such a scene, smile calmly since her son, despite everything, remains the same. Then they got ready to talk. The brunette told them that he was getting married very soon, and he would like them to attend, an act that they accepted without hesitation. Then he asked them if Rias and the girls have come. He had already had that doubt since he came. They told them very little, a few times a year to see how they were doing. Issei also told them that he could extend their lives a little to see if they wanted. An act that they accepted since they wanted to see how many grandchildren they were going to have, and with how many women is his son going to marry, since they knew that Lefay was not the only one who really loved him, and that there were more than expected. The brunette inserted a minimum fraction of power into their bodies, prolonging their lives, so they spent the afternoon talking and laughing with Ophis, who talks to them a little since the brunette recommended that they socialize a little so that they get used to people. Later, when Lefay woke up, the brunette's parents were no longer there, only the brunette and Ophis, who was lying on the other lap with her eyes closed, relaxing with the caresses that the brunette was giving her on her head and face. "That afternoon, my sleeping beauty, you slept well?" the brunette asked with a smile, making the magician's heart speed up a lot while her cheeks were dyed red, and it didn't help at all that he was caressing her hair, relaxing her more. She could only put her hands on her face, hiding her blush. "Don't worry, you look very beautiful when you're like this, and even more so when you're sleeping," the brunette said, making the blonde blush even more, but she felt like a dream to be able to be with him like that. Once she sat up, they stayed in the room talking calmly. Ophis also commented something from time to time as she became less and less rigid in her way of expressing herself. At night they have dinner with Issei's parents, and after a bath each one goes to sleep, of course, the parents in their room and Issei with his two companions in another, Issei in the center, while Lefay and Ophis on each side. Lefay wore two-piece pajamas to sleep, long plain pants that fit her body perfectly, showing off her voluptuous hips and sexy legs. A plain pink blouse that suited her sexy figure with a chest that looked irresistible. Issei had to admit that Lefay was quite a woman, but thanks to that he had problems because although he had been sleeping with her for a while, the temptation to see her like that and devour her was many, but thanks to Drake he controlled himself. Well, somewhat, since sometimes he touched her breasts but she let out some light moans, making the brunette very excited. He also slept with Ophis, and although the feeling he had continued to grow, it did not cause him much since she still had the appearance of a child. Time passed very quickly and it was time for the wedding, where only the Pentagon family and the Hyoto family were present since it was a private wedding, and Ophis who was with Issei's parents. Since she has a certain feeling, attachment, or gratitude towards, they also always treated her well. In front of the altar you could see a man who was dying of nerves. "Calm down, partner, everything is going to be fine. I know that the feelings of love she feels for you are true," said the dragon, trying to reassure his friend. "I know, Drag, but I feel nervous. Don't you think all this is very fast? I mean, we only came back a few weeks and we are already getting tired," the brunette said nervously. "Of course not. You have very deep feelings for her since long before we were sealed, and she is just like you," said the dragon, trying to get that idea out of his head, but when he sees his partner he realizes that he is not succeeding. Since is trembling. "Seriously, partner, you have fought with demons, fallen angels, gods, mystical beasts, evil dragons, you even fought against the Trihexa hand to hand and without any fear, and you are here trembling at the idea of getting married." The dragon reprimanded his friend now that I couldn't believe it. "Also, look how happy she looks," said the dragon, making the brunette look shocked by how beautiful his fiancée looked dressed as a bride. Issei stopped trembling when she saw her like that. She was left marveling at such a beautiful piece of art. Leif arrives next to him, and what she sees in his eyes makes the brunette blush, and thinking, how can such a pretty and adorable person exist? The brunette looks back at her and says, "You look beautiful," making her maga blushed at what was mentioned, and seeing how handsome he looked didn't help her control her blush either. But she still smiled. She was happy since she was finally fulfilling her long-awaited and greatest dream, being with the person she loves with all his heart. "Good luck, partner. It's time for you to become a man. I'll go to sleep," said the dragon with a smile that his partner is happy. Immediately the dragon goes to sleep without first hearing them say thank you. The wedding continued normally, then a small party followed to congratulate them for 1 to 2 hours. With the commitments finalized, the couple went to their hotel somewhere in England to spend their honeymoon, while Loftus left with Issei's parents so that she is not alone. Human world. Some part of England. Hotel. The couple arrived with a magic circle to their reserved room. Issei carries her like a princess to her bedroom, where he gently places her on the bed. They begin to kiss each other calmly, where little by little they change from calm to passionate. Issei holds himself and says to the eyes that look at him with passion and desire, "Hey, Chan. If we continue with this, you will be marked by me and no one else besides me can touch you. You will be mine forever," the brunette explained with concern to the blonde. "I don't care, Isama. I just want to be yours and no one else's." I just want you to be the one who touches me and kisses me, and I also want you to be the only one who makes love to me. He said that last thing with a seductive voice, blonde, making the brunette can't take it anymore, and he starts to kiss her again, worse this time, more passionate, making the blonde get more and more excited with the way he kisses her. In a moment, the brunette slides down until he reaches the neck, and the blonde begins to breathe excitedly while she lets out small moans, and without realizing it, the brunette was already taking off her dress little by little, enjoying the view that she was giving him, his now wife. When she finished, she could appreciate those beautiful firm breasts and pink nipples, that firm and round bud, and that white skin that makes her look more beautiful and seductive. Isama, don't look at me so much that I'm embarrassed, the blonde claimed with a completely red face. Time skip. I was finally able to be Isama's wife, was the blonde's last thought before falling almost asleep from pleasure and exhaustion as she climaxed 3 times. Her Issei lies next to her, reflexively. Upon feeling her presence, she clings to him and falls asleep hugging him on her chest with a big smile of happiness. Seeing hers like this, Issei just smiles at her as he hugs her, bringing her closer to him, covers her and falls asleep next to her beloved wife with a big smile. What they didn't realize was that a red circular mark with a dragon's head inside appeared on Lefay's left shoulder. Underworld, Gremry Castle. Rias Gremry can be seen clutching her chest as if she felt like something important to her was being taken away from her. Ice, she whispered before falling asleep. And not only her, the entire Gremry group, not counting Revel, all felt that someone had taken away something that was extremely important to her. Human world, some part of England. Hotel. The next morning you could see a brunette awake watching how his beautiful wife was sleeping so peacefully that she was hugging him with a big smile on her beautiful face. You seem happy, mate, the dragon said, drawing Issei's attention. How not to be? The brunette commented while he gave a light caress to the blonde who was next to him. I thought it would hurt you more, about the Gremry girls, said the dragon with a little curiosity. And that's how it was, drag. But thanks to Great Red I'm fine, said the brunette, remembering his week of training. Memory. Well, kid, before we start your training, get out all that sadness that's in your heart, said Great Red, still a sad brown man. Issei couldn't take it anymore and began to cry inconsolably while expelling a large part of his power, becoming stronger, as he remembered the loss of those people he loved. He wanted so much to go and hug them, but he knew it wasn't the right thing to do, and they did their thing. Life and found love in another man who is not him, those thoughts were destroying him. After a while Lassie calmed down, Drake spoke to him. Partner, you know you're here for everything, said the dragon, trying to give his support to his friend. Yes, thanks, said the convert brown man. I want you to remember that although they are no longer here, there are other females who have been waiting for you all this time, Drake commented when remembering everything the magician said a while ago. Issei remembered that Lefay told him that although the Gremry group are married or have boyfriends, there are other women who have been alone waiting for his return. Well, remembering those words really encouraged him a little that there are still some people that he loves and appreciates, and would give anything for them. If you're right, I have to go get them since they've been waiting for me all this time, said the brunette, already really happy. After seeing all the pain and tears that he had stored away, he feels much better. And I only had the thought to go for those who have waited for him and are waiting for him and leave the Gremry group in peace, since from that moment on he decided to forget about them. I'm glad you think that way, so come on, I'll always be with you. The dragon commented happily on what Issei was thinking. Thanks, old friend, the brunette said with a smile on his face. It seems that you are better now. Well then, let's start with your training, Great Red said, encouraging Issei. End of memory. When Issei was immersed in his thoughts, Lefay was waking up little by little. She sees the brunette who has his arms around her and remembers everything they did the night before, making the blonde blush so much that she covers her face with the sheets, embarrassed but still had a big smile on his face. Partner, your female has already woken up, said the dragon, bringing Issei out of his thoughts and coming to his senses. Issei again sees his dear wife who was blushing and covering her face with a blanket. When Issei saw this he only had one thought, she looks so damn pretty. I agree with you, mate, Drake commented when he saw that the blonde really looked very pretty that way. Good morning, how did my beautiful princess sleep?" the brunette said, drawing the blonde's attention and making her blush more when she was called that way. "Well, Issei-sama, how did you wake up?" a blushing blonde asked as she remembered what happened the night before. "Taking the fact that I woke up hugged with an extremely beautiful woman, I have to say that I woke up quite well," the brunette answered with a smile when he saw the blonde becoming even more embarrassed. The brunette at one point grabs her waist to lift her to his chest, facing each other. When the blonde is in front of her lover, she looks into his eyes and realizes that he has a look full of love and affection, making her heart start to beat very fast since he is expressing so much love and affection with just one look. At that moment, she felt like the happiest woman in the world, and without wasting any more time, she began to kiss him with a lot of love and affection, but also with passion and lust, although she didn't know why. But every time she felt the brunette's lips, a lustful desire invaded her, and it didn't help at all when he felt his well-formed torso exposed. And from kiss to kiss, things got heated until they ended up making love again, making the blonde moan from so much pleasure that it made her feel, and the brunette couldn't help it. The blonde's body was too addictive, her skin white, firm and perfect breasts with pink nipples, her wide hips, her long and seductive legs, and to finish that beautiful face she has with those beautiful eyes and that beautiful smile. She was like a goddess among mortals. Although for the blonde it was not very different, since first this is the man she has always loved and admired, with a very well-formed body, with very well-turned muscles, a long strong back, a firm butt, and best of all, she still couldn't believe a very large and tasty member that made her feel climax every time she felt it inside her. After about 4 hours of a lot of moaning and cooing on the part of both of them, you can see a smiling Lefay with heavy breathing as she rests on her beloved husband's chest hugging him. Lefay didn't know why, but the tranquility, calm, and the security that her loved one's embrace conveyed to her was something she wanted to have for all eternity. Issei had his arms around her, running his hand over the red dragon mark on her left shoulder, indicating that it only belongs to him, and he didn't know why, but it made him feel very happy to have a woman like Lefay as his wife. "Sif, until he finally behaves like a man and not like a perverted imbecile," Sifthrig said to himself with tears to himself, when he saw that his wearer was no longer a pervert. "Hey Chan, do you want to go for a walk around the city? And while we're at it, let's have breakfast outside?" Issei asked his beloved. Yes, I would love Aishima," the blonde answered very excitedly. "Well then let's go," said the brunette, giving a kiss to the blonde, who happily returned it to go to the bathroom. When he was going to enter, he is stopped by a very blushing blonde. When Issei sees her, he is surprised to see that her face is red and she is trying to say something. "I can accompany you to tea. Take a bath," the blonde said very shyly, and her cheeks were red. Issei was left speechless at such a request. The shock was so great that she could not speak. Once past the shock, he took the hand of the blonde, who was naked for the delight of the eyes, to guide her to the bathroom to shower together. Once inside, Issei couldn't resist seeing his wife naked, so he began to kiss her passionately more and more, while the blonde responded by getting more excited since she wanted to do it with her husband again, because the feeling of being his while the whole devours are pleasurable and satisfying. And of course, he is a complete dragon that instinctively tends to be very possessive, and even more so when it comes to having sex, while he releases pheromones that make the females more excited and want to continue having sex, also making the females more totally submissive to feel fully satisfied. But Faye was breathing hard while her face is red, but with a big smile. Seeing her like this, Issei only smiles when he sees how cute she looks. After the bath, they go out to get ready and go for a walk around the city. Issei was wearing long dark blue pants and a plain white sleeveless jacket, showing off his well-formed pectorals and arms, while Lefay was wearing a white dress that reached her knees, and leaving her shoulders bare, also showing her red dragon mark on her left shoulder with pride as she felt happy to be with her lover. They walked along a beach that was near the hotel for a few minutes, then they found a nice place to have breakfast, so they left holding hands, leaving everyone, both men and women, blushing. For women, seeing Issei was a delight for them, with his long hair tied up, a very beautiful face with eyes of each color that made him look very handsome, his well-turned arms and his good torso that could be seen through the shirt, leaving the red women with their many fantasies. All for the shoulders. Seeing Lefay was like seeing the woman as an angel with flowing blonde hair, fine white skin, perfect breasts, wide hips and long white legs, and with that dress she was wearing it made her look more beautiful than ever. What was already happening was that seeing the red dragon mark on her left shoulder generated a lot of intrigue, but for some reason it made her look very sexy. Of course, that thought was only for normal humans, since the supernatural people who passed by and focused all their attention on the mark could feel a tremendously great energy. Issei, upon realizing that there are people from the supernatural world, begins to let his aura come out, causing all those people to begin to tremble from the powerful aura. Will they have a single thought together? Dragon. Upon realizing this, they also thought of a thing. That girl is marked by him. If anyone approaches her without her permission, he will be more than dead was the only thing that was going through their minds. And with that same thought they began to walk away from the place. They couldn't stop shaking when they felt his aura. When they had finished breakfast, Issei took his beloved to a dry park for a walk while Lefay was holding her husband's arm. As time passed, they had lunch at another restaurant, and in the afternoon they ate ice cream that Issei bought for both of them. Lefay felt extremely happy to be with the brunette since he treated her like a princess, and she was able to spend the whole day with the person she loves. Underworld. Forest. A week after the brunette's wedding, an white-haired man could be seen fighting with two beautiful girls before a certain man appeared to break up the fight. They had become very strong, the man said calmly, making everyone see him and closing in on him. Azazel, what are you doing here? Vala asked with intrigue when he saw the fallen one. Good morning, Azazel-sama. The two girls said at the same time. Me. Since they are girls, although from what I see they are very good. The fallen one mentions making them blush since both of their bodies are surrounded by Vala's aura. Don't bother them, Azazel, and better tell me why you came since I doubt it's just a visit, said Vali, diverting the topic from the girls. Calm down, Vala, I'm just amused. Anyway, I came to ask you if you haven't seen Office lately. The fallen man asked, a little worried. Now that you mention her, I haven't heard anything about her for a while, Vala answered, somewhat worried. It's okay, I just wanted to ask you that, said the fallen man, not disappointed. I'm worried that the attacks we've received have something to do with her, Vala asked. I am worried that she is their target. Although in the last 3 years, we have received several attacks, you still do not know who it was or what they are looking for, and that is already beginning to worry the other factions since they have tried to enter heaven 3 times, said the fallen with great regret in his words. He no longer has any clue as to who are causing problems in the supernatural world. The next time I see her, I'm going to tell her to be careful. Although I don't know when I'll see her since you know she's not that close to me, and since Hyota left 10 years ago, she has distanced herself a little from everyone. Us, said Vale, a little upset because he no longer had his rival to fight with. Yes, Issei were here. I wouldn't worry since I would know that she would be with him. Office always seemed interested in him. That really surprised me, said the fallen man with a smile remembering those times. Who is Issei? Maya asked Vali with great curiosity. Iota Issei is the other heavenly dragon besides me, my rival and my best friend. He said this last thing in a low voice so that no one would hear. The boy who was a pervert, but always gave everything for his friends and who saved everyone from the beast of the apocalypse. Lavani commented with great curiosity since she didn't remember him very well. I wonder what would have happened if I were here, said the fallen man, laughing. I don't know, but I'm still waiting for it since it has to face me and know which of the 2 celestial dragons is more powerful. I hope that when it comes back, it will be really strong, said Vala with a smile. I would like to meet him in person, Lavani said calmly, thinking about what it would be like to have him in front of her. I would like to too, to see if what they say is true, Maya said with some intrigue. Everything is real, I can assure you of that, said the fallen man to the 2 girls. Then he returned to see the albino who was with his thoughts. Vala, from what I see, you still have faith that he will return, commented the fallen man with doubt, since he did not believe that Issei would really survive that battle. Of course, they are not easy to kill, and you know it better than anyone, Vala answered with a smile. Then he looked the fallen man in the eyes again. From what I hear, you don't have much hope that he will return alive, Vali said doubtfully. It's not that, Vali, if it's not that I was there when he arrived, and I also know how strong the Trihexa was, and the truth is it's very hard to believe that he's still alive," said the fallen man, somewhat sadly, remembering that moment when he saved them. "He is alive, and something tells me that we will see him again, and maybe sooner than we thought," Vali said with a smile. "If you're right, Ice is surely alive and safe. By the way, Vali, what are you three and your other women doing here?" the fallen man asked with doubt, since they are always all together. "I'm training. I can barely control the Dragon Lucifer drive, and I still have a long way to go to control the power that office gave me," Vala answered, somewhat frustrated since he lacks a lot of training. Lavinia returned to the magic school that called her, Riken is with her family that also called her, and Ebel is helping Yasaka with the wedding of her daughter and Kuroka's sister. Vala answered, but he noticed something in the fallen when I mentioned the wedding. "Azazel, are you worried about something?" Vali asked, seeing something strange in the fallen man's attitude about the wedding. "It's not just that I'm disappointed in some people," the fallen man answers Vali's doubt. "You're talking about the Gremry group," Valen mentioned while the two girls who were with him were surprised when he mentioned them. "Yes, despite the fact that I sacrificed himself for them, they simply moved on with their lives shortly after they swore eternal love, they changed it when he was no longer here," said the fallen one in a disappointed and somewhat annoyed tone. "But still there are people who wait for him like Kuroka-chan," Lavani commented, trying to calm the fallen man. "Yes, but they were the reason why Ice became strong, and why he always fights so much since he simply wanted them to be safe. He fought against every demon, fallen angels, beasts, gods and dragons, and although the enemy was much stronger than him, he never gave up since he fought for them when he needed them, and now that he needs them, they abandoned him," commented the fallen man with great annoyance. The girls who heard that were surprised by everything he did for them. "That really bothers me. When Akino was going to marry Aston, I talked to her to convince her to wait for Ice, but she simply ignored me and told me that she had already waited a long time for him and wanted to rebuild her life," said the fallen one, more annoying than before. And for a moment everything was silent until it was broken by a rather interesting comment. "I wonder what they will do if he comes back," Lavani commented with a somewhat grim smile. "I would like to see what face they will make," Maya said, quite interested. "I don't really know, but something tells me that we will know very soon," Vale said. Human world. Tokyo. Kyoto. "Mom, how are the shipments of the wedding invitations going?" Kuna asked, somewhat worried. "Well, daughter, they were sent a week ago, and they are already beginning to confirm who could attend," the eldest Kitsun said to her daughter to reassure her. "Thank you very much for helping us, Yasaka-san," the white-haired Nico thanked. "You don't have to thank me. Besides, I want everything to go well," said the eldest Kaisen. Human world. Outside Japan. Island. Who would have thought that actually buying this island and building a house here would be so easy and simple, commented Issei when he found himself located on a small island, which had a mansion that was not very big, but not small either. The house had 3 floors, 2 on the surface, and 1 underground. In the upper part is where the rooms are located, each with an individual bathroom. In the lower part is the kitchen, the dining room, a library, a bathroom, cinema, and the living room that had a large television with different consoles around it. In addition, the room has a view of the pool in the back of the house. It also had a corridor where it had outdoor hot springs. In the underground part, there is a training field with everything equipped. And finally, it also had a training field a little further from the house. "You really know how to invest," the dragon commented to his friend. "I'm really glad that everything has turned out well," commented the brunette, since he returned, he made all the money from the op-eyed dragon and started investing in businesses all over the world. And after a little 3 weeks, he started to create 3 hotels in different parts of the world and several restaurants with the Red Dragon brand, already having enough income in such a short time. 15. "Now what are you thinking of doing?" Drake commented to his Say, Drain Drake, "I still haven't mastered that transformation 100%. And if what the Trihexa said is true, an enemy will really appear soon, and I want to be prepared for what happens," the brunette confirmed in a serious tone. "What would you do with your females and those that will come?" the dragon asked, intrigued. "I'm going to train Fei-chan a little so that she becomes stronger, and I think I will also need the help of those who come along," the brunette said with a smile on his face. "By the way, you already have an idea of who has the power that was stolen from Trihexa?" Drake asked, very interested. "I'm not very sure, but all the clues I've been able to collect only point to a single direction," the brunette said quite seriously. "I imagine it," said the dragon just as seriously as the brown one. "The god of war, Indra," the two said at the same time. "But the war he has against Shiva, it may be him. But even more so if it was him, we must stop him since we do not know how much power he can control," said the dragon in a serious tone. "The problem is that Indra is on a trip according to his subordinate," the brunette commented, very worried that the god will not appear. "Umrad, why don't you go and talk to Shiva, maybe they can reach an agreement," Drake recommended. "It's not a bad idea, I'm just going to go pay you a visit as soon as possible," the brunette said with a smile. Human world. Pendragon House. After Lefay and Issei's wedding, they went on a trip to spend their honeymoon, and I managed to enjoy their privacy. They are living in the Pendragon, but now with the house finished, it is time to move. Issei was not there at the time, so Leif and Office were reading some books from the main library. "Hey Chan, Office is here?" the brunette asked, entering the room. "Yes, here we are," the blonde answered as she went to where the brunette was to give him a kiss, while Office hugged him. Currently Office, since the brunette returned, has not wanted to leave him, and rather the feelings he had became stronger after he returned from that dimension. In addition, the brunette managed to allow Office to express herself better and to talk about the feelings. Human sentience. Now Office can speak and express herself more fluently depending on her mood, but she has also had a certain feeling in her chest that has grown as she spends time with the brunette. Isama received an invitation for Kaneko-san and Kuna-san's wedding, the blonde commented to the brunette. Issei was surprised by this news, but saw his beloved wife worried and smiled at her while hugging her to calm her down. "Don't worry, Fei-chan, I was already prepared for this. I simply feel happy for her that she found love," the brunette said, reassuring the blonde. Ayed was the sound of Leif seeing Issei lifting her by her waist. "Besides, how can I be sad having a woman as beautiful as you," the brunette said, making the blonde blush at the comment, "but also be happy." Issei kisses her passionately with love as the blonde reciprocates the action. When they separate, you can see a blonde with a big blush, but her face blushes even more since the look that the brunette gave her was one of pure love and affection. And with those beautiful eyes of a different color, it did nothing to help her control her blush. Issei, when he lowers the blonde, sees Office, who was looking at him with a look that wants to say something while her cheeks are tinted a light pink. A thought passed through the brunette's head when he saw her that way, since when is Office so pretty? It was Office's scream to her surprise that her brunette took her by her waist and told her, "Apart from her, I also have a pretty and strong woman," the brunette said to Office, while she blushed at the brunette's words, making her hug him tighter, while a smile adorns her face with her red cheeks. "By the way, Fei-chan, when is the wedding?" the brunette asked curiously. "Then 2 weeks in Kyoto," the blonde answered calmly. "Well, what do you think if we go get your dresses for the party?" the brunette commented, making the girls happy. "Hi!" the two women answered at the same time, very happy that they can go out with their loved one. Underworld. Gremry Castle. "So Kaneko and Kunu have already decided to get married. I'm so happy for them," said Arated. Ju, they're sure very excited, and you're going razor some areas?" the black-haired girl asked her best friend. "Yes, also with Revel and Yorakino. You are going to go with Sassen-san?" the redhead asked her best friend. "Most likely, since it will be a nice moment to share with him," the black-haired woman answered with her typical smile. Human world. Hyoto residence. After they went shopping, Issei took the girls to the new residence, which is on an island with a field that would protect her from anything while making her invisible. It should be said that they were amazed since the house was not like a castle, but it was large with everything necessary and a little more. Lefay was delighted to find the library that was very large, and then you had too many books that she did not know since Issei traveled all over the world collecting them. The office, on the other hand, when she entered the kitchen she found the place where they kept all the sweets, and without thinking twice she began to eat with a big smile. Issei felt happy that she was like this since all he wanted was to see them smile. As night fell, Issei was talking to Lefay that he needs to train her since he explained everything he had discovered and that a new enemy would appear soon, and without thinking she accepted, and she was also excited to learn new spells and dragon magic. The next day you can see a blonde and a brunette training while watches them from some benches that were nearby under some palm trees, making the place very calm and refreshing. The Issei was teaching him to identify the weak points of the spells in addition to controlling his new power, since when a dragon is very powerful and marks a female who is not of his race and does not have enough power, she will become a 20% dragon. And although Lefay is very powerful in the art of spells, she is still a human. Her body is human, so when she was marked by Issei, she became part dragon. The week passed with Lefay training in the morning and relaxing in the afternoon to be with her lover at night, while Lefay was always with them, and the brunette mentally thanked her, since for some reason, he liked spending time with both of them. Girls, they took advantage since very soon the other missing girls would begin to come, until the wedding day of the Yax's wedding arrived. Human world, unknown location. Is everything ready? A booming voice asked from the shadows. Yes, sir, everything is ready, answered a subordinate. Well then, be ready to process with the plan, ordered the squadron leader. Understood, sir. The subordinates confirmed at the same time. Human world. Hyoto residence. You could see a brunette wearing a white dress suit with a black shirt without a tie, waiting for his two companions for tonight. It was in his thoughts until he heard some footsteps that brought him out of his thoughts, and he turned to the stairs to see who was coming down them, and his surprise was pleasant. There was standing in the middle of the stairs, a beautiful woman with a long blue dress that suited her sexy figure, a simple design at the top, and with lace at the neck, revealing her back and a small neckline. She also wore light makeup with a handbag, and to finish she had light braids in her hair that are still on her side, making her look splendid. It should be said that the brunette was shocked by how beautiful his wife looked. Leif, seeing this, gives a small smile with a slight blush when she sees her husband's face in that state, but she blushes even more when she sees that he came out of his shock and gave her a smile, stretching his hand in her direction. You look splendidly beautiful, the brunette said with a blush on his wife's face. Why, you look very handsome too, the blonde said, trying to control herself so as not to eat her husband because of how handsome he was. At that moment, a beautiful woman of the same age as the brunette is coming down, wearing a long black dress that hugs her body, showing off her wide hips, slim waist, and large breasts. The top part of the dress has a simple design, revealing part of her body. Her chest and shoulders, she had her hair in a nice bun revealing her seductive neck, she wore light makeup and a beautiful necklace. The brunette was looking at the beautiful woman in front of him with a huge blush, but he was also surprised and confused since he didn't know who the woman in front of him is. Ice, said the woman with a blush on that beautiful face because of the way the brunette looked at her. Hearing her mention his name, Issei was even more surprised since he was able to recognize the woman's voice because her aura was different. The office, the brown man exclaimed in surprise. The office just nods as she approaches him with a timid voice and tells him how it looks. The brunette comes to his senses at the question and simply thinks, there will be a more beautiful woman. You look extremely beautiful, the brunette said blushing, making Office blush more, but a cute smile appears on her face. I can't believe it's Office, were Issei's thoughts. Tell it to me, I'm more surprised than you. Drake spoke in Issei's mind. I didn't think Office looked like that, but why do you think she looks like that, Drake? The brunette asked my partner. To be honest, I think she likes you, Drake responded, leaving the brunette blank. I can't believe it, you really believe that? The brunette said without being able to believe it. Look at her eyes, you can tell that she feels something for you. I always thought it was just attachment, since it never crossed my mind that the Dragon of Infinity would fall in love, but I see that I was wrong. Drake finished saying, very surprised. The Office, why are you in that shape? I mean, you look very beautiful like that, but why did you transform? The brunette asked, intrigued. It was my idea since she is going with us. I thought it would be better this way since they won't recognize her, the blonde answered happily. True, you're absolutely right, Fei-chan. Now I'll just call you different, said the brunette, thinking until he said a name, Kurumi. The office was surprised by the name, as was Lefay. We can't call her office because everyone would realize, so why not? Kurumi means hope, the brunette said, surprising the two women. Hearing this, Office smiles adorably, making Issei blush to see how beautiful she looks. My name will be Sojiro Pendragon so they don't discover me, said the brunette, changing his aura and appearance. Now he had blonde hair and a less defined body. His face changed a little but not much, his eyes stayed the same. Leif blushes when she hears him use her last name, although since we are married, it is natural that she can use it. Well, with everything ready, let's have a little fun at the party, said the brunette, disappearing in a magic circle with Lefay and Office hugging his arms. That's it, guys. Thanks for listening to my video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment below your favorite part. Sayonara, see you in the next video.